This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good morning again. I understand that I think everybody understands why we here and what we supposed to do today. This is a special DEC to take care of the convention that is coming up at hand, and that's what we're here for. We're not here for anything else outside of that. So let's make sure that we focus on this. I have a statement that I'm gonna read to you. Oh yeah. First of all, let's do a roll call. Commander, present.
Mute yourself. Commander's present, adjutant's present. Now, as I go through, it's going to take a little bit of time for people to unmute themselves, respond, and let me know, and for us to clarify this before we can move on. So this could take longer than it normally takes. Also, any votes to be taken today will be a roll call vote so that we can mark it down for the record. Judge Advocate Ed Fletcher.
Excuse.
He said he might be on.
Oh.
Okay. Chaplain Josie Thomas. Because she spoke earlier, I'll mark her as here. Historian Henry Sanchez.
Here, present.
Henry Sanchez is here. Parliamentarian Diane DeVries. Here. Here. Sergeant at Arms J.R. Duarte. J.R. Duarte. Okay, moving on. Service Officer Sam Flores.
Present.
Junior Past Department Commander Larry Leonardo.
Present.
National Executive Committeeman Larry Van Kuren. Is Larry Van Kuren present?
That's your phone if I was That means is he calling in or he calls?
Moving on, alternate NE Seaman Kenneth Kramlich.
Present.
Area 1 Vice Commander John Leach. Area 2 Vice Commander David Jackson. David Jackson on. Area 3 Vice Commander Anthony Guerrero.
Present.
Area 4 Vice Commander Donald Littlejohn.
Here.
Area 5 Vice Commander Michael Weir.
Here.
Area 6 Vice Commander Michael Helmstead. Is Michael Helmstead on? I didn't hear anyone respond. District 1 Commander Rick Cooper. Okay. District 2 Commander Richard Raker. District 3 Commander Marge Goosey. District 4 Commander Shane Griego.
Sir, all present. Air Force, aim high.
District 5 here.
Okay, Jeff Jewell just checked in. District 6 Commander Jim Burton.
Present.
District 7 Commander Cortland Bradbury. District 8 Commander Nelson Lum.
I'm here.
District 9 Commander Jeff Robel.
Aim high.
District 10 Commander Walter Wright.
Welcome to the post of the future. Hoorah.
Thanks, Sterling. District 11 Jeff Freeman. District 12 Commander Gene Hamill.
Present and COVID-free.
Good to know. District 13 Commander Will Carney.
Present.
District 14 Commander Andy Reeve.
Andy Reeve is here.
District 15 Commander Donald Johnson.
Aye, aye, sir.
District 16 Commander Frank Campo.
Present.
District 17 Commander George Aguilar.
Present.
District 18 Commander David Whalen.
Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
District 19 Commander Ray Guard.
Present.
District 20 Commander Gary Mitchell.
This will defend. Present, sir.
District 21 Commander Rudolph Valadez. District 22 Commander Sam Flores already accounted for. District 23 Commander Keith Morris.
Here.
District 24 Commander David Gibson.
Here, sir.
District 25 Commander Michael Yates.
Present.
District 26 Commander Romy Bassetto. District 27 Commander Randolph Moorhead Sr. District 28 Commander Dan Clay.
Here.
District 29 Commander Sandy Schneeberger. District 3 Commander Robert Morales.
Here.
And I'm going to list the past department commanders. Okay. Dave Jackson has checked in, and JR Wardy, Sergeant Arms has checked in. They're both having problems with their mics. Before I go into the department commanders, I'm going to go through the people I didn't count, and I see Larry Van Kuren is checked in on the screen, but I did not have him check in with the roll call. I'm going to assume that he is on the call, even though we're not able to hear him at the moment.
Not really.
Hey, Paul, John Leach will be on in just a minute.
Okay,
This is Jeff Jewell. I just talked to him.
I appreciate that. Michael Helmstead, I think you're on, but we're having problems hearing from you as well.
I think I fixed the problem. Can you hear me now?
Okay, thank you. District 1 Commander Rick Cooper, are you on now? District 2 Commander Richard Raker. District 3 Commander Marge Goosey. District 7 Commander Cortland Bradbury. District 11 Commander Jeff Freeman. District 21 Commander Rudolph Valadez. District 26 Commander Romy Bassetto. District 27 Commander Randy Moorhead. District 29 Commander Sandy Schneeberger. Sandy, I see you as on, but I'm not getting a response, so I'm going to mark you as present. Okay, Past Department Commander Robert Heinisch.
District 27 Commander Moorhead here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you. Mr. Bob, I can see you, and you're here, correct?
Robert Hanks is here.
Okay. Gary Leach.
Got me?
Gary Leach is here.
Janet Wilson.
Reddit.
Joe
Can you hear me?
Garcia. Yeah, I can hear you. Joe Garcia does not appear to be present. Hugh Crooks.
Yes, sir.
Mark Foxworthy. Someone call for Mark Foxworthy. Dennis Furco. Dennis Furco.
Yes, I am here.
Dennis Furco, Mark is here. Al Lennox. Howard Darter.
Here, sir.
Floyd Martin. Dave Eby.
I'm here.
Joe Early. Michael Gumbar. I saw he was on earlier, but I saw him check out. Is Michael Gumbar on the call?
I am on the call. Can you hear me? Hello?
Michael, I can hear you, Mike. We got you noted as being on the call. Wallace Riddle. Frank Machado. Bruce Thiessen.
Hey, Paul, this is Larry Van Kuren. Can you hear me?
I can, yes, thank you. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Commander, we have everyone present with the exception of 8 voting members of the DEC at the moment. If they do clock in before any voting, we're going to go ahead doing a roll call. We'll have an opportunity to get notice being in later on.
Okay. Thank you. Members of the Department Executive Committee, thank you for taking the time to come together for this emergency meeting. I believe I can speak for all of us when I say that this uh, pandemic has thrown one hell of a wrench into what we consider normal American Legion operation. Throughout the organization, everyone is taking measures to limit the impact of the COVID-19 is having and will have on our members. Most post operation have come to a standstill, and even those posts who have risen to the challenge in their communities by providing meals to the household vets have not been able to meet and conduct our business as usual. The national organization has canceled the 2020 National Convention and following operation available to them in the national constitution and bylaws. Having opted to keep the national officers in place until the 2021 convention in Arizona, since this announcement from national, most departments like us have been developing a plan to get through the conundrum of not being able to safely hold a traditional convention. Some departments have bylaws which allow them to follow the decision of national and hold their officers in place until their 2021 department convention. Other departments, like ourselves, have bylaws which prevent us from making that decision. In addition, being that we live in a state where you cannot even get a straw without asking for it, we have additional cooperation laws which require us to conform to certain standards. We have some work to do today, and our members are counting on us to create a path which makes sense, allow us to move forward, and does not violate California law. With this in mind, I'm asking every member of the DEC to listen to the constraints we face as presented. Speak in voice to create a solution, respect each other's opinions, and help us establish the path our department is going to use to get us past through this obstacle so we can go back to our mission of serving the veterans of California. To start off, let's go over the current situation we are in so we can begin the process to get ourselves through it. Audrey, will you please go over the legal requirement we are facing as a corporation operating in California?
Thank you, Commander. First, I'd just like to remind everyone to please mute their microphones. And then I'm going to put on screen, this is just a presentation of what you received in the email. You should be able to see that. For those of you who are on the call, I'll read through most of this as well, but also you have this available to you. So, and just so everyone understands how we got to this point, Commander called and asked me a couple weeks back about convention and what should we do. He wanted my view, and I told him that I would research information for him, and then that would be something that the DEC would decide. I realize that I am in somewhat of a tenuous position because I am the leading candidate. Therefore, I want to make sure that there was no bias in my writings. So I asked the department parliamentarian to also check whatever I wrote and chime in on anything where she believed that I was incorrect. In addition to that, I enlisted the service of Mark Rice, the Constitution and Bylaws Chairs for the department, to do the same. I did the legal research, prepared that, sent what I had to them so that they could take a look at it and gave them the opportunity to make comments. The only thing I will do, and I am not making any recommendations other than the one that's written in here, but as to whether or not we cancel or do anything, that's for you folks to decide. I will just give you the legal information and answer any questions pertaining to the legal. If you have questions about bylaws, You've got Diane, the parliamentarian, who is the person who should be interpreting the bylaws for department, and Mark Rice as well. So can we cancel convention? Based on the reading of our bylaws, no, not without a change to our bylaws, because our bylaws require that there is a yearly convention and doesn't have provisions for any type of change. Can we change the bylaws? We can. There is an article, Article 13, Section 1, 2, and 3, that lays out a way to change bylaws without having to go to convention. It still requires, since this body, to make a 2/3 vote of a suggested change. That vote then has to go to every post in the department, and every post in the department has the opportunity to weigh in by ballot, yay or nay. And as long as they pass it by 50%, then it can go into effect. What should the amendment say? I drafted this from the from the national bylaws, and substituted department where they wrote in national. I think Diane can speak to this as well. She will tell you about some recommended changes that she has if this is something that you want to adopt. If it passes, can we cancel? Yes, absolutely. In fact, no matter what happens here today, I think that you folks should make recommendations about your further course of action so that you don't have to have additional DECs, which require additional timing. So that's the recommendation that I make. Should we cancel? Absolutely your decision. I have nothing to say on that. Can you follow National's recommendation and stay in place, leave the department officer stay in place? The problem here is that Article 9, Section 20 lays out how we get to elections when people were elected. So for instance, the commanders, the vice commanders, sergeant at arms, all elected positions are elected at the department convention. And according to Article 9, Section 20, they serve until the following department convention. There is a conflict, however, in Article 9, Section 22 of our current bylaws as well. I'm sorry, I'll get to the conflict in a moment, but Article 9, Section 22 of our current bylaws provide that the executive committeemen shall be elected at convention for a term of 2 years. Let's see. Now, I was speaking about the fact that there was a conflict, and the conflict arises because we provide also that the commander, the sergeant at arms, the vice commanders serve only 1 year term as members of the DEC. And also we provide that members of the DEC who are district commanders, although they can serve 2 years, they have to be elected according to our bylaws every year. So there's the conflict between the two different sections. Now, we can adjust the bylaws using Article 13, Section 2, but according to the California state law, you can't extend the terms of the current directors. So if the current directors have reached the end of their term, according to the law, you can't extend the term. You can't create a bylaw to extend them. Okay. Can our district officers stay in place? And again, that kind of depends. According to our bylaws, I'm sorry, I should say no, according to our bylaws, not without an election. Every district commander who has served less than 2 consecutive years would have to be elected again for that second year. And any district commander who will have served the 2 consecutive years would be at the end of their term, and a new district commander from that district would have to be put in place. And that's in Article 9, Section 23. Are there emergency provisions? Yes, absolutely there are emergency provisions. Now, I think looking at your paper, you have code 5140 cited. If you look on the screen here, I've cited 7140. As I was putting this together last night, what I realized is that I was citing the code for a public benefit corporation, not the code for a mutual benefit corporation, which the American Legion Department of California is. And I know that our parliamentarian sees it differently, but I do believe that that is the case. But either way, the section 7140 specifically talks to mutual benefit corporations. 5140 talks to public benefit corporations. The information you have on your paper begins with N as in Nancy, 1A, that's under 5140, and reads the same as what I have here on the screen under 7140, M1A. So the information you have is correct. The code section that I've cited on here is what I believe to be the correct code section. And it talks about, you do have the ability to modify lines of succession in order to accommodate any type of incapacity. The problem is that none of our leaders at this point are incapacitated, which is a good thing. We're happy that no one, because of this virus, is in any way incapacitated. M2 talks about during an emergency, you can take what actions you can take. Those are listed there. It's quite a bit for me to read, but like I said, what you have on your paper, if you take a look at that, that should cover it. Moving on to M3, and this is where it probably works, not works, but where it is more applicable to us. And it states that in anticipation or during an emergency, the board may take any action that requires, sorry, hold on here. One second, this thing is in my way. Yeah, during an emergency, the board may not take any action that requires the vote of members or is not in the corporation's ordinary course of business unless the required vote of members was obtained prior to the emergency. This basically says that, yeah, you may be in an emergency situation, but you don't act outside what your normal course would be, and anything that the membership would be required to vote on, they still have to vote on, unless you receive that vote prior to the emergency itself. Now, here's another portion here that I want people to pay close attention to as well. Section M4, any actions taken in good faith in anticipation of or during an emergency under this subdivision by the corporation, and it may not be used to impose liability on a corporate director, officer, and employee. I tried to do a little bit research on that further, looking at for any cases. There aren't any cases. What I take that to mean is, for instance, if we wind up entering into a contract in order to, I'll use the federal government as an example. We decide that we're going to buy face masks for everybody in the American Legion. And prior to this, you could pay 20 cents for them. And now we've entered into a contract where we're paying $15 for those. A member could say, well, we're upset about that, and we think that that's wrong, and you're spending our money unwisely, and try and take the directors to court over that in order to recoup the value of difference between 50 cents and $15. You folks would be protected in that situation. You would not necessarily be individually responsible for any type of payment. So that's where I take that section. Now, it may also mean that actions that you take could shield you from, prosecution. I'm not so sure of that case, but I do know that when you go a little further, it describes what emergencies are, And certainly we are in one, you know, natural catastrophe, including but not limited to hurricanes and things like that, attacks on the state, an act of terrorism, and a state emergency proclaimed by a governor or the president. And I think certainly D applies to us. So we can be in the emergency bylaws. The only real question is whether or not they allow us to act in a way outside of the bylaws. As your attorney, the only thing I can say is what I've been saying all year. You got to follow the bylaws. You got to follow the law. If you make a decision outside of that, then what I encourage everyone to do is to, on this record, put every reason for why you may be doing something that is outside of the normal course. Because that's what, you know, if the Attorney General's office decides to come in and wants to see, you know, our records or do whatever, that's what they're going to want to know. They're going to want to know what the reasoning was. And they'll take a look at the reason to determine whether or not it's a good reason. So that's all I have to say on the issue of the law. Unless you have specific questions for me, I'm going to mute myself and remain mute unless anyone else has any questions. I do believe that Diane will talk to explain probably more about the conflicts and some of the other things that she has found in our bylaws. So I'll go mute. Thanks, Diane. Trying to mute myself.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to follow the same sequence on the point paper that Audrey just went over. And a few issues that I see when it comes to a conflict between the California Corporation Code and the department bylaws. The first one, can we cancel convention? And it was stated no, because our bylaws specifically say that the convention will be held annually. I did have a question. I'll just read what I submitted to Audrey. I concur that we cannot cancel the convention. However, at the time I questioned that the time and place of such convention was fixed by a vote of the preceding convention, whether that actually occurred. I obtained a copy of the transcripts from our last convention, and a time and place to hold the convention was not voted on at convention. The only vote that was taken at convention was to approve the bylaws. And therefore, in that case, again, according to our bylaws, in the event that a preceding convention has not fixed a time and place for the holding of the next convention, it shall be fixed by the Department Executive Committee at least 120 days prior to the date for which the convention shall be called. So what this does is provide an opportunity, if you so decide, that a convention, rather than being canceled, could be postponed and set by the DEC today for 120 days out. Doing this would satisfy the requirement to have a convention. Then we would have to make sure we go through the bylaws, and every place that there's a requirement to accomplish before convention, that the dates are changed. For example, the submission of delegates lists, the post having the reports done a certain time before a convention, all that would have to shift if the convention was postponed. Okay, going on to the second point, can we change the bylaws without convention? I left that alone. What Autry said, I totally concur with, that we can change the bylaws without convention through the department bylaws, Article 13, Section 2. Okay, point 3, what should the amendment say? Can you put that up on the screen? Autry's going to put that up on the screen. And while he's doing that, I just want to speak to our bylaws. The reason why we're in this predicament where other departments or national are not is because our bylaws have so many specifics, or what are called special orders, where the national bylaws state plain and simple, the NEC will set the convention. Ours goes into a lot of detail, and it's that detail that is keeping us from canceling a convention. Okay, so up on the screen is what the amendment should say. Again, this is just us putting our heads together. The proposals I made to this amendment was to strike an appropriate body. So it'll read, the legislative body of the organization shall be department convention, and then go ahead and strike out which shall be held annually, and then continue with the rest of the amendment. The reason why I recommended to have these stricken, first one is because it follows word for word from the national bylaws. And secondly, what caused this problem in the first place, the sentence which shall be held annually, something like that could be put in a special rule separate from the bylaws, but included with the bylaws, but could be amended with a single vote from the DEC instead of having to do 2 readings of the bylaws. Moving on to the next point, if it passes, can we cancel? I totally concur. Should we cancel? Again, I agree with Autry that that is totally your decision. I am here only to interpret the bylaws when I'm asked to do so. Can we follow National's recommendation that all current officers stay in place? Autry talked about the California state law, and I'm not even going to attempt to interpret California state law. I will attempt to interpret the bylaws. First of all, he mentioned that Article 9, Section 20 allows the department commander, department vice commanders, and sergeant at arms to hold office until the close of the following convention. According to that article, if we were to postpone the convention, those positions could remain in place until the convention. In my interpretation, that's not extending their term beyond 1 year, but that's up to interpretation. Let's see, for the NEC, that's covered in Article 9, Section 22. Our bylaws state that the NEC shall be elected at a convention for a term of 2 years. There's no stipulation after that. And according to Robert's rules, once their term has been completed, if there's no election of NEC, those positions would be vacant. Our bylaws do provide an opportunity for DEC to elect NEC. I don't have that right in front of me which article that is, but I'll get that. And the other conflict is the fact that in Article 926, that no member for the Department Executive Committee shall be elected to the same office for 2 consecutive terms. This appears to place a 1-year cap on all members, even though, as our bylaws state, those members, some of those DEC members could be extended until a convention. Let's see here. Okay, and the next question, or the last question on here, talks about emergency provisions in the law. And although, you know, I was talking public benefit corporation, Autry was talking mutual benefit corporation. Which one we are is determined by our articles of incorporation, which I have not seen. I guess I just assumed we were public. But having said that, the code reads word for word what Autry has on the point paper, whether it's a public benefit or mutual benefit. So I think we can set that aside and just go by what he's written. And that concludes my comments.
Diana, I have a question for you. Looking back at the transcripts, the convention was approved by the post DEC meeting, is that correct?
Okay, what the transcripts say was that at the DEC, the commander said, I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing, we now have this Visalia contract thing to deal with. There was a motion made, a motion seconded, and it was passed to honor the Visalia contract.
So my question to you is, since the DEC established the time and place, would we still need 120 days if we still had a convention at that same time? Or would we need to do we have to extend it out since because basically according to what you read earlier, if the convention doesn't establish it, then the DEC is allowed to establish it as long as it's more than 120 days out. Since they established the time at the post DEC, would that qualify there, or do we need to extend it out now? How does that work?
No, if the convention does not agree on a time and place for the following convention, let me read this.
Yeah, my phone offers I have at the same time frame.
Yeah.
If it's in the same time, I believe you're fine. If you're saying the same date, then yes, that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. So because the DEC approved the Visalia contract, in my opinion, they approved holding convention at the scheduled time in Visalia.
So to finish that thought out, if we continue to have it during that same time frame, it wouldn't necessarily create a situation where we had to extend it out due to that 120-day requirement.
In my opinion, I think we could hold the convention during the same time frame. I think that was the intent of the DEC.
On y'all now.
By the way, he has about 5 screens open right now.
Okay, stop opening screens.
So did everyone get, everyone was listening? Did everyone understand what Diane and Audrey were saying? Yep. Do you have any questions? Can you hear me?
Commander,
Hear you. Yes.
Commander,
Okay. Do anybody have any questions?
Commander, Hugh Crooks, Mass Department Commander.
Yes?
One thing, I was listening to them, and if what has to be considered, if they postpone in any way, shape, or form the convention, what does that do with the department budget that ends on June 30th? We cannot run a department without any funds. And the convention is set up to qualify and make sure we have funds for the next year. That's when the body approves a budget. What happens then? Or does the, and I'm just throwing this out there, or does any kind of whatever you put out there, any kind of motion have to include that in there, or what does that do with the bylaws? This goes back to Audrey and Diane.
When you have to go use the same budget that we are under now,
Sir?
wouldn't the budget carry on?
We can't. Our books close on June 30th. And if we don't have another budget in place that the convention has agreed upon, we have no money to run this department.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but say the DEC decided to postpone everything, wouldn't this budget for this year just carry on?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, what I'm yeah, the DEC is going to make a decision.
I'm just asking Audrey and Diane, since they're more of the experts than I am, what would happen as far as that's concerned? Because that's
Okay.
How do we go on as far as the bylaws are concerned? You know, I don't want to say I think.
Okay, just one at a time.
Okay,
Diane is looking into this right now, okay?
Thank you, Commander.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
question.
good question.
Okay,
Sam Flores, District 22. Oh, sorry. I thought you were still researching, Diane. I can wait. Thank you.
go ahead.
Sam Flores, District 22. The only question I was going to ask while Diane was researching that question for Mr. Crooks, in the email provided with the invitation to this gathering, there was a note as to a contingency plan for a virtual convention. Can you elaborate a little more on that notion? How would that work and how would that be implemented?
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, why don't we wait on that question until this? Okay. If there was no budget passed, we would be operating off the old budget. However, there is a statement in the bylaws in Article 9, Section 16, about 3/4 of the way down. During the first 6 months of each fiscal year, ordinary department expenses may be made on the basis of anticipated income. So there would be funds available based on anticipated income until January 1st.
That makes sense.
Hugh, did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Wait, let me see.
Which means that.
Did you hear what Diane just said?
Yep, as far as normal. So in other words, no extra expenses or nothing out of the line of just running the department can be done in the first 6 months if we don't have a convention.
With
that
the
what you're saying?
stipulation that the DEC does have the authority to approve funding, any modification. They have the authority to approve budget items with a 2/3 approval. I didn't say that.
It's line items.
Okay. If I may be allowed to
Okay,
weigh in,
Audrey.
if you recall, in the modified bylaw that was written on the fact sheet, if you take a look at that, it says that the department, the membership is the legislative and appropriate body. Appropriate is meaning in terms of appropriation. When they can't appropriate, the DEC does have the ability to appropriate. So for instance, throughout the year, if budget modifications need to be made, the DEC can come together upon the recommendation of the finance and make the determination as to whether or not they want to authorize that appropriation. So that would help you in that sense. And I think the reason bylaw, because that's what those refer to.
Right, and that's referring to the 2/3 vote is with the approval of the finance committee. It would take a 3/4 vote to approve without the approval of the finance committee.
That makes sense.
I'm sorry, what was that last part about the finance committee? It would take what?
You want you to repeat it.
Okay, when we're talking about the DEC approving expenditures, the 2/3 vote of the DEC and majority approval of the Department Finance Commission are stipulations for a 2/3 vote. A 3/4 vote would be required of the DEC without the majority approval of the Department Finance Commission.
Thank you.
I have a question, Commander. This is Ray Guard, 19th District. We're talking 120 days out. Is that 120 days out from June? If so, that would put us in October. Question is what if this virus is not over by October? Do we have to meet again and do another 120 days out? Because we really don't know what this governor is even thinking about right now.
We also just established that there was no sense to move it 120 days out.
Well, we need to answer Sam's question first. Can we go back to Sam? Sam, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Could you repeat your question again?
Sure. Just to reiterate what I had asked before, on the invitation, the email invitation for this gathering, there was a note as to a virtual contingency for this convention. Can we just get a little elaboration before any decisions get made, what the mentality of our leadership is geared towards?
Hey, Carl. Carl, are you there?
Comrade Commander.
Yeah, could you answer the question to Sam for me, please?
Comrade Commander, this is Past Department Commander Gumbar. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you can?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. May I interject something here that I think is important to everybody that's on this call? Our first and foremost responsibility is to do no harm to this organization. And all the bylaws and all the rules and regulations that we knew prior to this endemic.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
I was trying to get Carl Racing on the line.
All right. Well,
Carl, are you there?
But hello.
Yes.
All right. I'll hold my comments until you have time for me.
Yes. Could you do that for me, please? Hey, Carl, are you there? He was on there, wasn't he?
So
Okay.
in the absence of Carl, because I have been talking with Carl about the potential for a virtual convention. Carl and I discussed the idea, and I sent him some information that I had developed from kind of looking around what other corporations or other people have been doing. It is possible using a format like GoToMeeting. What I discussed is that our convention requires us to have it over a 3-day period, one of which being a Sunday, and then mandates that the Sunday is the day for elections. It does not mandate what takes place during the other 3 days, or the other 2 days rather. If people, if the DEC said, okay, let's do a virtual convention, what I talked to Carl about was the idea that you would make Friday a registration day. And that gives time for the department to make sure that everybody who has the ability, or all of the delegates, can log in, register, and make sure that they can be seated. There's no outstanding fees or whatever. Saturday, because we're going to a modified format, I would suggest that the DEC maybe think about limiting it in some form or fashion, because the real business that you need to take care of at convention is also the idea of the budget, as Hugh Crooks was talking about. So that would give you the opportunity to address budgetary issues for the next year. And then you could also deal with any emergency provisions that you want to put into the bylaws if you decide it. And that's something that I believe Mark Rice has talked about as well. And then finally on Sunday, the only thing that you're required to do is have the elections. So if you want to do that, you can. I wish Carl was on, because he also has talked with, Carl is here. Yeah, Carl is on, and he's trying to talk, he said. There are other things that Carl talked about. In fact, Carl suggested that we could even continue to do things like have training or guest speakers. Yeah, and so that's what we've discussed. In addition to that, we looked at the cost and talked to one representative from GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting has said that they're willing to provide the Department of California with the ability to have their webinar service, which would include GoToMeeting like we're on now, at a reduced cost for up to 3,000 members. So they would charge $199 a month on a yearly basis, which works out to be $23.38 if I did the math right. I'm a lawyer, so one of you guys check me. That would give us the ability to have up to 3,000 people in a webinar format, and that would cover all of our delegates for convention. Now, that's only one place. In talking with that guy, he was willing to, I got the impression that he was willing to negotiate more. So certainly, I think if, the adjutant got on the phone with them and tried to work it a little bit, he could probably get something a little better. But I would also suggest you look at some of the other formats, which might be even cheaper for the same amount of people. There's nothing in our bylaws that prevent us, or the law, that prevent us from having a virtual convention. What the other thing that I would suggest is that if you do that you task the training committee to set up trainings ahead of the convention. So for instance, we could set up where there would be, the month before, the opportunity for delegates or anyone to log on and make sure that they can use the system, try and work out any bugs. That way, that would give people the ability to get comfortable with the system leading up to the actual virtual convention. The other thing is that if we need to have secret ballots, which I don't believe that there's any need for secret ballots, so there wouldn't be need for an outside voting service. You could still do the votes that you would normally take online through the service. Some services have the ability to have like a polling. So you could, people could log in an actual poll on that. Or if you're concerned, you could also have a separate service that does voting. This is some of the information that has been developed by Mark Rice as well, and has been on the website about the different voting options that we put out for. I can water at the top. So, Carl, are you able to talk now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Hey, all right. Yeah, everything that you're saying, Audrey, you and I had a long discussion about it, a couple of emails back and forth. Basically, the format, and for those of you on the call that don't know, Carl Reisinger, convention commissioner. It's possible to do a virtual convention. You basically using the same format as we do, modified. We'd have to send out emails ahead of time, just letting everybody know the different Zoom calls, webinars, WebEx, whatever formats we're using, in order to, everybody would have to be informed ahead of time going into it. You could do training sessions, and people could attend those just like, we normally do. If you want to attend, you're welcome to attend. If not, then, don't. There are several platforms out there that we can do voting. My vision of it is every morning, each of the districts get together and caucus on their own calls. Any issues that need to be brought up get discussed at that time, and then the DEC only has to discuss with the district commanders any voting that needs to take place, so that you've got the delegates' votes counted, just like we normally do. Each of the district commanders lines up and gives a delegate strength, count, and how they voted. Anyway, I think you touched on most everything else. Those are just a few things that I think that's it.
This is John Leach. I have a Audrey.
Yeah. Who is this?
Hey, Audrey. This is John Leach, Area 1 Vice Commander.
Yes, sir.
Are you there? Are you there, Audrey?
I'm here.
Audrey, we have been in Zoom. We've been using Zoom for our local post here in Corning, and also with Area 1. I've been working Zoom. Has anybody looked into Zoom for possible future that may be a little better than our to-go meetings?
Yeah, I think what we did was try to just figure if it's possible on any type of platform. But I'm not making any recommendation that we go to meetings. I'm just wanted to know whether or not it was possible. So I would, the DEC, if they want to go in that direction, would have to task people to actually take a look at that. In addition to that, I know on the website, Mark Rice has done a lot of work researching the options of Zoom, and if he wants, he's here and could chime in on that.
Go ahead, Mark.
So that we
hang on a sec.
We had a meeting. Area 1. Mark was on that. Turned out to be a really good meeting. Very successful. I bought part of the plan that I can have up to 2 hours of meetings with 50 people. But I know there's other plans out there. There's also a plan where we could actually do voting.
The big concern with Zoom that has been, the big concern for Zoom that has been is there's a lot of security questions that are out there with that particular platform at this time. It's come to the point where it's involved the FBI. Several colleges, it's a very popular platform. It's had a big increase. The two things about the increase is, one, it's pushing that particular platform to almost overloading the system capabilities, which is something they're working on. The other thing is that some of the universities holding classes and having certain sessions have been they've been tapped into. They've been people have been able to get in the middle of those and use distractions and disrupt those meetings. Zoom recently, over the last week or so, has put out there that they have worked on those security issues. They have increased them, so I couldn't tell you what the exact foundation is, how secure they are at this time. So I just put that out there generically. That's what's out there on the internet right now is the buzz concerning Zoom. I couldn't confirm it one way or the other.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sam? Sam? Sam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did that satisfy your
Yeah.
question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, Mike Gumbel?
Yes, sir, Commander. I'm
Okay,
on the line.
go ahead.
All right. So far, we've had maybe 6 or 7 people pretty much pushing the same scenario, which is to somehow have a convention no matter what, and quoting bylaws and rules and regulations as to the reason for it. And as I stated at the beginning, our first obligation as a department and a DEC is to do no harm to this organization. And it's clear at this point in time, at least to me, that for even to consider the post to be having these virtual meetings and having elections is totally impossible. Not to mention with the districts. And now we're discussing having a department convention where there's supposed to be an exchange of ideas, which there won't be because it can't happen. I mean, we know that. These are the realities that we live in now. And what we have to do is take a look at the rules and regulations and realize that they were developed during a time that doesn't address this situation. This is a very unique time in our lifetime where we do not have control, nor do we have information that will help us make the right decisions. Our best decision at this point in time, and this is in my opinion, is to hold in place where we are, learn more about what is going on, and then make decisions that make sense. Right now, we're knee-jerking to simply what's in the bylaw. And the bylaws never, ever stated that we were to do harm to this organization. And we are at that juncture right now, comrades, where we need to make some decisions here that will protect the organization and at the same time protect the integrity of the corporation that we belong to. And by doing harm, by making all these changes only to knee-jerk to what we believe are the bylaws and rules and regulations is not a good thing. And I can guarantee you right now, there isn't an attorney general in this state that is going to do anything to the American Legion, the Department of California, for not having a convention during these most difficult times. Let's do some common sense here, folks. We have to look at reality of life and where we are. And we have to make decisions based on that, not on some superfluous bylaws that do not apply in this situation. Thank you, Commander, for my time.
Well taken. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
Commander Jim Burton, District 6.
Who is it? Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my question deals with one of the constraints that hasn't been talked about, I guess. If we cancel the convention, if we postpone the convention, where does that leave districts as far as their problems of having, not problems, but they're having an election? My plan for my district is to have a virtual election in June inside that 15 to 45 day prior to the convention time slot that I'm locked into. My posts, we're working on having either virtual or by paper elections, as they're all constrained by the bylaws to have those in either April or May. So if we these changes, how does that affect their ability to do elections at ours, at the districts?
Okay, Diane, I just want to try to answer that question for you. Diane?
Yeah, thank you for your comments, Jim. I alluded to this issue a little bit earlier, where if the convention was postponed 120 days out, that would change all the requirements, such as you're talking about your district elections. It also affects the post-elections, all which are based on that timeline of having a convention in June. And I know a lot of the persons included are locked in right now to hold their elections as per their post bylaws.
Does that answer your question?
Actually leaves me in limbo until we make a decision, I guess, because I'm scheduled right now for June to have my annual meeting and elections at the time. But if it's moved, then I have to find a new date. And like Diane said, it's a cascade effect on a lot of things.
Commander.
Okay, are you satisfied?
Commander Anthony Guerrero, third area flags commander.
Hold on just a minute. I got Keith Morris.
Yes, sir.
District 23.
Yeah,
You next.
Thank you. My concern is if we're talking in terms of virtuality, what are going to be the provisions made to modify the convention, and is it going to be outlined prior to making that suggestion?
Diane.
Yeah, I think just like any convention, there are pre-convention meetings, organization meetings. They've got standing rules. And prior to any convention, whether it's a in-person or virtual, I believe that our procedures that are in place right now would apply in a virtual situation. The officer reports, the agenda, everything can still be done according to schedule, even though the convention was held virtually.
You okay with that?
No.
Yeah, I understand. Mike Hempstead.
Thank you, Commander. First of all, I just want to say thanks and acknowledge you a lot of the hard work that went into this, of people like, printing out and looking into the letter of the law and our bylaws and the Constitution and all of the this stuff is hard, and I recognize that there's a lot of moving pieces. I want to refer back to the training we had at the beginning of the year where they talked about the duty of obedience and the duty of care. Like to me, these are the most important things. I heard the past commander say, "Do no harm," but to me, that's like the most important thing is to hold the best interest of the organization in place and not our own. As far as where we are on I'm troubled by this meeting because I don't know, I've heard a lot of stuff on different laws and a lot of what ifs, and now we're talking about the potential of a different of a digital convention, which I suppose that discussion makes sense, but I haven't seen any, in 3 weeks' time, we weren't given something specific on any of this stuff. I don't know who was putting the convention stuff out. I didn't hear any of this stuff until today, and Carl's in my post. I personally have a lot of heartburn with having a digital convention because I am not convinced that we can pull off a fair and transparent election. I'm a PR guy, so I believe that, the appearance of impropriety is just as bad as impropriety. And if we seat officers on an election that can be skewed as questionable, then that's going to taint that election and those officers' term. And I don't think that's fair to them or the organization. And you're talking about having, a meeting in a couple of, or our organization having a meeting in a few months is, you know, I don't want to be rude, but we're not that tech savvy. I don't know how many times this department has said to me, we can't do meeting communication stuff online because you're going to alienate, you know, I have posts that don't have computers. How many times have you people said that to me? Like, if you have posts that don't have computers, how in the name of all that's good and holy are we going to have an online convention? You don't get both ways. So and we can have meetings and do training and do a lot of stuff just like this, but I don't see a possible way to do a fair and transparent meeting. And I mean, look, I'm sitting at the desk of a corporate lawyer that deals with Fortune 500 companies. They take a year to plan this out, a year. Like Fortune 500 companies or people are making six figures to do this are taking a year to plan this stuff out. And you're saying the American Legion is going to pull it off in a few months? I just can't see it. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I feel like I'm kind of rambling. I don't want to take too much time, but I just, I'm not comfortable with the whole process. I think that, you know, it was stated that the, what is the section M4? I wrote them down. The good faith rule. If we can operate under good faith, I will personally take on the fight if some district attorney wants to say the American Legion is doing that, because, you know, what does the California Corporations Code law say? In anticipation of or during an emergency, take either both of the following actions necessary to conduct the corporation's business unless emergency bylaws are pursuant. Like, the California Corporations Law says that we had, before an emergency, your body has to approve it. That it makes no sense. Nobody can understand it. There's like high-end lawyers that can't understand California Corporations Law. They're not, you know, I don't feel that's the issue. I feel the issue is doing the best thing for the Legion. I think that, you know, national set of precedents, you know, they've got some of the same bylaws issues. I understand states have different rules, but I think that we can overcome that by the good faith rule. And sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I'll stop. Thank you.
Commander, Anthony Guerrero, third area. You there?
Hey, Anthony,
Yeah,
hold on
Anthony.
just 1 minute. We're gonna go back to Diane. Diane have a
Okay,
response on this?
call me when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, I believe it was Jim Burton, District 6, that asked the question about his post holding the elections. There's nothing that is decided today that is going to interfere with your post holding elections. In fact, the department bylaws and probably your post bylaws talk about the post elections shall be held annually at a regular meeting, either April or May. So if you wanted to go ahead and hold that, there's nothing to keep you from doing that, and go ahead and install your officers in accordance with the bylaws and the National Manual of Ceremonies.
Yeah, right.
And then just second of all, just to touch base a little bit with Mike Helmstad. When you think of a virtual convention, and as you, the leaders of the DEC, are going to make a decision, you need to kick in your out-of-the-box thinking. Is it unsurmountable to have 3,000 people all connected into a webinar, some type of GoToMeeting? To me, that seems pretty far-fetched. However, if you think of our organization with the department, the districts where all the votes are coming from, you could have the department at one site maintaining the social distancing, and you could set up, and I'm air quoting, outposts, district outposts, where a district could set up their station, their delegates, which will be a much smaller scale, could caucus, and they would be talking from one site. So don't limit it to one kind of thinking. I guess that's
Commander, Hugh Crooks, Press Department Commander. What happened to Diane?
Marco.
John, are you there?
Should we continue?
Marco.
Anthony, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Commander.
Okay. Just hang on for 1 second. The Sanger Wi-Fi went down.
Okay.
And I'm connected to my cell phone, so.
Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Yep.
That's because you got 27 people in that one office.
No, actually, there's 5 of us.
We are getting feedback when one of you is talking and
Okay.
the people are listening. It's coming back through, so we're getting echoing out of Sanger.
You got it.
Hey, AJ, this is Shane Griego, District 4 Commander. I know we're waiting for the rest of your team to come back online. Just a quick, I guess, cross-check. Even if we voted to have a physical meeting for convention, have you guys talked to the governor's office or even public health in that area to see if that is even a feasibility? I mean, I don't know if we pushed ourselves to go ahead and said we were going to approve a meeting and then find out, 2 weeks down the road or a month down the road, everything's canceled and we can't even get into the venue. Has that been discussed up at your guys' level? Copy?
So I'm not sure I quite understand, Shane, but I can tell you what I have done. So I have followed all of the governor's orders. In one of the early orders, it talked about, the shareholders meetings. It didn't alleviate any other types of corporations from responsibility. So, the law requires shareholders to meet yearly. And that's the one where even if they had it in their bylaws that they didn't meet yearly, they'd still have to do it because of the law. We're in a different situation because we don't necessarily have to meet yearly unless our bylaws say that. And then the law says you got to follow your bylaws. So that's why there's this whole back and forth craziness. And like Diane pointed out, our bylaws are way more specific than they should be to give you guys flexibility. Now, I continue, the governor's put out orders, probably about 7 or 8 of different orders. And I continue to scan through those to see if there's anything that would affect the American Legion. And I do that pretty much on a daily basis at this point, not just for the Legion, but also for my work. So, and Mr. Gumbar talked about the Attorney General's office. And I'm not going to say that the Attorney General's office is going to run down here and arrest the American Legion. That's not how it actually works. What happens is at some point down the road, if someone complains to the Attorney General's office, then they can come in and take a look at your organization. Now, they don't come in and take a look at just what the complaint was. They'll start looking at everything. And the Attorney General's office has the ability to shut your organization, prevent your organization from taking in funds like donations and things like that, or giving donations. So I want to be clear. I'm not saying that the AG's office is going to come in and run roughshod over the American Legion. You do have to consider that what happens if they do, which is why I gave that caveat about the idea of whatever your decision is, make sure that you provide clear, concise reasoning for every decision you make, because that's what they would look at. I think Commander is back on.
Commander?
AJ.
Okay. And Hugh, I mean, it's not Hugh, Anthony Guerrero's been waiting for you, Commander.
Okay.
Anthony, Commander, you there? Commander? Can you hear me, Commander?
Yes, he can hear you.
Okay, I've got a couple things. Our post and 147 here in Clovis are going to have an election, but how we're doing it is everybody goes to the post will be open, it'll be a ballot, put your ballot in, then leave. That's how we're going to do it. And I know our department commander, our district commander, Andy, is going to do the same thing. Somehow he's got it worked out where he also is going to do the same thing, which would make it a lot easier. So you still have your elections. As for the convention, this is my opinion now only. I think we ought to do is cancel the convention in June and go to maybe October if this virus is still around. And about the bylaws that we can change either at convention or let everybody know and the department what we're going to do with the bylaws, because there's only a few of us on the air right now. I think that ought to be done. Then we can go from there. That's my opinion. I don't know if you feel right about it or what. Thank you, Commander.
Commander, Hugh Crooks, past department commander. Am I okay? Okay, thank you. I just got a couple of things I want to bring to DEC's attention. First off, virtual meetings for department are not new. In 2011, the Children and Youth Commission started meeting virtually online for that entire year. That's not new for this department. Number two, I just did a Calvet meeting, statewide meeting 3 days ago. Couple of glitches, but it went fine. So to say that you can't do it is not true. Yes, it does take a little bit more of to train a couple of people, and you're still gonna get glitches just like you did this morning. This body, it's your responsibility, and Audrey can tell me if I'm right or wrong, to make up. If you want a contingency plan for virtual, you can do that. Or you can say, if we have that, if we want to have the convention because everything's listed, we will do it. Or if we can't, we can do this. But it's up to you. You just can't keep putting it up. It's your responsibility. You are the directors. I'm here to tell you a little bit, and most of the past department commanders will tell you about what has happened in the past, and to keep you so you understand that. Thank you, sir.
Keith Morris, 23rd District, to the DC members. My question comes on the line of, if we're going to do a virtual, which it hasn't been suggested, don't you think that we should try and at least first conform to some type of service that would allow the total DEC to be present, and then have a mock before that? Somebody answer that question, please.
That's
I
a
can
one-year
answer,
process
Keith.
for Fortune 500 companies. 1 year for Fortune 500 companies to pull that off.
Keith, I can tell you this much. For my meeting with Calvet, we actually had three meetings. And also, I should let you know, my district and most of the districts I know in Southern California, including Post 43, are all having virtual meetings. Yes, there are glitches. There are people that have to be trained. But by and large, most members are going to be able to get on there and understand it.
I just want to point out
This is Larry.
the difference between a meeting
Can you hear
and
me?
an election.
This is Larry Van Kuren, past department commander and current at DEC. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
I hear
please.
you. I hear you.
Okay, let me the topic is virtual convention. And let me give you some practical experience. I was a senior executive of Kaiser Foundation Hospitals for 40 years. We used to do virtual executive staff meetings across 8 states with over 300 people on the line. And I'm kind of echoing what Mike Helmstead said. It took us 6 months to set those up because we had to do things like be able to prove legally that we vetted each and every person that was calling in so that there would not be any subsequent legal challenges to the validity of that conference. That's a major hurdle and one of the reasons why it takes corporations quite a while to set something up like that. We need to throw that into the consideration pie. If we do this, and we only have, 50 people on this call and we're having difficulty, multiply that by 7 or 8. And we have to be able to validate we're the delegates that were on the call, who they say they were, and be able to do that, because if somebody challenges us later, we got to be able to prove that. I'm done.
I mean, case in point, do we have a quorum right now? Who really knows?
Roll call was taken, Area 5 Vice Commander Helmstead. The issue is,
Right,
is that
who's still on? And who verified these phones?
well, that's understandable, but it was a voice recognition. So, I mean, I don't think that question is appropriate for this situation. The situation is, do we want to have a convention or not? We're gonna sit here for 3 hours going back and forth about virtuality or whatever. The bottom line is, do we want to have a convention or not? If it's no, then we just need to vote no and make provisions as to how we're going to proceed moving forward.
That's the best point I've heard all day. Like, I would like us to like choose a direction and then be going in that way instead of talking about a bunch of theoretical.
Commander?
Yes, one at a time. Okay, Keith, you don't have your chat. All right, Larry, you done spoke up. Now I want to hear from the other people in the DEC. I don't want no one to try to hog the mic here. Now we all gonna do it civil, and we can't.
You're getting a lot of echo.
Going back, arguing with each other over the phone. So who's the next person that goes to answer the question?
You're getting a lot of echo from Sanger. Can everybody shut off their mic but the speaker?
Anyone else?
It was very hard to hear you, Commander, because of the echo.
Make a decision here. I can't make no motion or anything like this, so we need to get this started.
Commander Gary Leach, I have a question.
Can y'all hear me?
Gary has a question. Gary Leach has a
Commander.
question.
Gary, you have a question?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry.
What financial,
Hold on, let me
someone
turn
else
this-
is talking. I want to know what financial obligation the department is under if we postpone the convention or cancel the convention.
Gary, repeat yourself.
I'm wondering what financial obligation the department has if we cancel or postpone the convention? Are we obligated financially to the convention center in Visalia?
Hang on, we'll get Paul to answer that. The question, Paul, is whether or not there's
We're getting an arrangement that if we extend the Visalia location into 2023, that we can limit our obligation to Visalia in the hotel there to zero. But we need to act quickly.
okay. So Paul says that if we cancel, he's talked to the convention folks in Visalia and the hotels. His understanding is that if we say cancel this year and add another year to the contract, so instead of having it this year, it'd be 3 additional years in Visalia beginning next year, then there wouldn't be any financial burden to the department at that point. Does that answer your question, Gary?
Yes, it does. I think I have a possible solution to this problem. Robert's Rules of Order allow, excuse me?
I was saying, please go ahead.
Okay. Robert's Rules of Order allows for adjourned meetings. And this is what my post just did last week. We were supposed to have our first round of nominations. Commander and I showed up at the post. We convened the meeting. It immediately adjourned till 4 weeks from now and left. Convened at 7 o'clock, adjourned by 7:01. We can do the same thing with this convention. You go to Visalia, you convene the convention, and then immediately adjourn to the call of the commander. Under Roberts, you can change not only the time, date, and place, but you can even change the location. So what that does is it convenes the convention on time at the prescribed location, and then is adjourned to the call of the commander when the pandemic is over and we can figure out a different way to have the convention. Then you reconvene it at the call of the commander, and it is nothing more than a continuation of when you convened in June. I'm done.
And Diane concurs with you. I think she can log on now. Are you on, Diane? Yeah.
Excellent suggestion.
This is Robert Heinisch. I have a past department commander. I have something I'd like to discuss just for a moment. All of what we have been talking about here is tied up in our bylaws. Our bylaws do offer us one possible way of at least changing our leadership. If the commander were to resign at the end of his term, which would normally be at the end of the term, and we would be then vacant with the offices, we would have to have a DEC, emergency DEC, to elect our new officers. In other words, that would kind of jump over the other rules that are in our bylaws and allow us to make sure our continuation of officers goes on. It doesn't solve our convention problems, but it does solve the chain of command. Anyways, thank you.
Commander, Janet Wilson.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can barely hear you, Commander. Commander Bob, that only replaces the commander. It doesn't settle the budget. It doesn't settle officers for area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's just a temporary election of a new commander. Thank you.
You are correct.
Comrade Commander, this is Larry Van Kuren, past department commander, current NEC. I make a motion that we follow the process outlined by Gary Leach and hold our convention at such time when we're able to physically meet.
Keith Morris, 23rd District Commander. I second.
Keith would have to make that motion.
Okay.
passed.
Nelson Lum, Commander.
Jeff Freeman, District 11 Commander.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank
He
you,
can
Alex.
hear you, but apparently his audio is not working.
Okay, thank you. On that motion that was just made, the principle's sound and feasible to the point of whether the governor will allow a body that large to meet in the future. They're talking about they're not going to allow sporting events such as football, basketball, anything else. If they're not going to allow that, how are we going to expect that they're going to allow a group of 600 to 1,000 people to meet in a convention center?
Comrade Commander, this is Larry Van Kuren. There was no time certain in that motion. So therefore, the motion is flexible in terms of when we would meet. It would have to be contingent upon the governor relaxing his order.
Comrade Commander.
Are we still in this point of order? Are we still in discussion?
Yes.
Crooks, Department Commander.
Yeah, we're still in discussion.
Okay, Larry.
Has anyone? I know we're in discussion. Is there any thought whatsoever, like they said, for a virtual convention instead of? Therefore, we could still get our business done, do our elections as we so need to.
The motion made would override the full convention.
Comrade Commander Nelson Lum, may I be recognized?
Yeah.
Nelson Lum, District 8. Nelson Lum, District 8. I think the important thing is we are now confronted with a situation that has never been confronted before. None of us have ever experienced this current situation. So therefore, we have to be flexible and we have to adapt. Just like my post 384, we conducted our meeting through teleconferencing, and we were able to make nominations, and we are going to conduct our election next month. Same thing with my district, District 8. We were able to do so by teleconferencing, and we are going to continue on and do our election as like we normally would. When it comes to our department convention, I understand that there are a lot of difficulties. However, if we're just going to open the convention and then immediately adjourn the convention, we are not fulfilling the obligation of electing the new officers, having a budget set up, all of which all we're doing is postponing it. And postponing it is not going to resolve it. We have, we must take on these problems head on. And I understand the difficulties involved, but you know what? We can do it. Thank you.
Commander Jeff Freeman, 11th District.
Go ahead. I believe that was Jeff.
Thank you, sir. The idea that came up earlier of having a virtual convention by having it, making it smaller by having the districts have their individual districts meet at a particular location, and then just have the teleconference bridge with large screens for viewing and so forth. I see as probably being the best option. It would take some time. We have a couple months to get the necessary equipment in place that might be needed and the locations that are needed for each district. But in my district, I have done 10 virtual meetings with every single one of my posts. They have held nominations. I've already set them their appointments up for next month for a go-to meeting for them to do their second nominations and voting. And for my district, I am doing my second nominations and voting for my district positions on the 9th of next month. So it can all be done and it went perfectly smoothly in my district. But the idea is to keep the numbers down. The way you keep the numbers down is by just having each individual district log on to the thing and have their members in their caucus meet at one location. That seems like the best and most feasible way in doing it.
Comrade Commander, this is Larry Van Kuren. Raise a point of order. The discussion is supposed to be on addressing the original motion that was made, not alternatives.
Dave Whalen, District 18. Dave Whalen, District 18. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
David, go ahead, Dave.
I can hear
David,
you.
David, the commander
Yeah,
can't
but-
hear you.
I'd like to call for the question.
No.
I'd like you to state the
No,
motion.
I'm sorry. One moment, please. One moment, please. One second. Please give us just 1 second here. What I'm trying to do is, at the suggestion of Vice Commander Homestead, is type the motion out so everyone can see it. So just give me a second here so we all know exactly what we're voting on.
Yeah, you have to get Gary Leach's input on exactly what he said.
He could type it.
So Gary Leach, could you help me out, please, by giving me the exact words of your suggestion? And once we have that, I'll confirm with Mr. Van Kuren that that is the motion he's making.
Okay, under Robert's Rules of Order, there is a provision for conducting an adjourned meeting. What that means, say for example, you have your regular monthly meeting where and the elections are supposed to be held and you don't have a quorum. What you can do is say, I move we adjourn until such and such a date, a week, 2 weeks, whatever down the road. And then you go out and make phone calls and get people, hey, we couldn't hold the elections because we didn't have a quorum. We need you to be there. And you get commitments from people to show up. Then at the time when you said you were going to adjourn to, that is merely a continuation of the previous meeting. It's not a new meeting. I'm not sure that's what you wanted.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you. Let me just craft this. Take a moment and craft this, okay?
Yeah, and I think it'd be a good idea to verify though with Diane that is legal in this situation.
Yes, Diane has already weighed in and said yes, and she's going to take a look at the language that we craft here so that everyone can see that.
Did they look at it? Commander, this is Dennis Furco. As long as we're still waiting on that, if it's still open for discussion, I got a word.
So the question's been called.
Does not, when someone calls for the question, require a 2/3 vote to close the discussion? Point of procedure.
Yes. Hold on.
Okay.
think you're right, but we want to make sure.
No.
Yeah, it is 2/3. So are we ready to vote?
Yeah. Let her do what she has to do.
Okay, hold on just.
Are we voting on, excuse me, are we voting on the question to call, calling the question or on the motion?
Unless the person who called the question withdraws it, we have to vote on it.
Quorum. In the absence of a quorum, any business transacted except for the procedural action noted in this paragraph is null and void. But if the quorum fails to discussion, not
And it has to be 2/3.
It has to be 2/3. All in favor?
No, Commander, roll call.
Okay, roll call. I'm sorry, we're gonna do a roll call. That's up, please.
Oh, no. We need a roll. Hold on, Commander, 1 second.
Please,
Can we,
can
can
the people that are on the telephone mute their phones?
District 7 Court, Bradbury.
Okay. So hang on for a second here, folks. There will be a roll call vote. Paul is going to call the roll. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Gary Mitchell, District Commander 20. Are we voting to call for the question or voting on the motion?
It's calling for the question. Okay, so if everyone can keep themselves on mute, unless they're the one responding. Area 1 Vice Commander John Leach.
I'm here, yay.
He did say yay. Area 2 Vice Commander Dave Jackson. One more time, Dave.
John Leach, Area 1, Vice, yay.
We got that. Dave Jackson, Area 2.
Yay.
Okay, we got him as a yay.
Paul, before you go on, clarification, a yay is to end discussion, a nay is to continue.
Yay is to call for the
It's
question.
a call for the question, so a yay would be to call for the question.
Got it. Don't
Okay.
mind me.
I'm assuming that a nay means that they do not want to call for the
They want to
question.
continue discussion.
Right. Okay.
Adjutant Brown, can you say yes or no? Yay and nay is very difficult to hear.
So yes or no?
I will do that. Area 3 Vice Commander Anthony Guerrero.
Yes.
Anthony votes yes. Area 4 Vice Commander Donald Littlejohn.
Yes.
Area 4 Vice Commander Michael Weir.
Area 5, yes.
Area 6 Vice Commander Michael Helmstead.
No.
Michael votes no. District 1 Commander Rick Cooper, are you on the line? District 2 Commander Richard Raker, are you now on the line? District 3 Commander Marge Goosey, are you now on the line? District 4 Commander Shane Riego.
I vote yes.
Shane votes yes.
I don't know why you're.
District 5 Commander Jeff Jewell.
Yes.
District 6 Commander Jim Burton.
No.
2 hours.
District 7 Commander Cortland Badbury, are you on the line?
Yes.
Which way do you vote, yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
That means you're voting to.
I'll accept your 2 yeses, 1 yes.
Not amendment.
District 8 Commander Nelson Lum.
In other words, that's what the most.
No.
That's what they're going to do. And when they're saying no, that means
District
they want
9
to still
Commander
discuss.
Jeff Rubel.
District 9
You
is
want
no.
to do something in, you would say no because you want to still have
District
more
10
discussion
Commander
for the motion.
Sterling Wright.
Okay.
No.
That's why I said the decision. I was trying to explain.
Hold
to you,
on.
but
Everybody
Art,
needs to turn themselves off on mute because I am not hearing the people voting. Once again, Sterling Wright, what is your vote?
No.
you know,
Sterling
what he's
votes
saying
no.
is want-
District 11 Commander Jeff Freeman.
I understand that.
So
What was the motion?
the motion is for the commander to.
Okay, Jeff Freeman, I didn't hear you because people are talking over the top of you because they're not putting themselves on mute. So once again, Jeff Freeman, can you please say yes or no?
To have,
Yeah, District 11, I say yes.
For a,
Jeff Freeman,
like
was
we
that
put
you
it-
saying yes?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
They're suspended until we get. We could have done that for district when we had the special meeting. District 6. That basically that's what we did because we tried to.
District 12 Commander Gene Hamill.
Get a
Yes.
quorum.
Thank you.
And that's what
And
we.
once again, the side conversations are making it very
what they're-
difficult to get this process.
what they're
If you're
voting-
not the
what
one
the-
speaking,
what the
please place
motion
yourself
is.
on
Okay.
mute or attempt to be
The
extremely
motion
quiet.
that during the convention.
District
the
13
commander
Commander Will
vote on
Carney.
Yes. Okay.
Will
and then
Carney votes yes.
open it up
District 14
for
Commander Andy
maybe
Reid.
next week.
Yes.
Well, that's not gonna happen next week.
No, I understand. That's why.
Andy Reid votes yes.
motion-
District 15 Commander
If it's
Donald
gonna
Johnson.
solve it.
District 15 votes yes.
Doesn't solve anything. And I'm sorry you didn't understand that because that's exactly what's happening.
District 16 Commander Frank Campo.
Criteria.
Marco Polo votes yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're not helping. Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I still
was
think
yes.
of virtue.
District
if we
17
set
Commander
up a version that
George Aguilar.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's
No?
a location. It could be.
So you're
it could
voting
be,
yes?
You know,
Yes.
Wairika, it could be McLeod. It could be each other day. Say, okay, this is what we're going to do for a convention.
District
So we're going to have
18
the district
Commander
have to
David Whelan.
we could do it by having a telephone conference. And then have one sitting into the department. So we could have our post.
Mr. Whalen, I did not hear your vote. Can you vote again, yes or no?
See, that's not.
That's John Leach.
All right, let him.
18 votes.
Let me.
Hello, John.
Okay, yeah. District 18 Commander David Whalen, I am not hearing your vote because there continues to be people talking. Can you repeat it again? I am so sorry.
Vote yes.
Thank you. You vote yes. District 19 Commander Ray Guard.
I vote no.
District 20 Commander Gary Mitchell.
Gary Mitchell, District 20, I vote yes.
That's a vote yes for Gary Mitchell. Is District 21 Commander Rudolph Valadez on the line? District 22 Commander Sam Flores.
I vote yes.
District 23 Commander Keith Morris.
Yes.
Keith Morris votes yes. District 24 Commander David Gibson.
I vote no.
That's a no vote. District 24 Commander Michael Yates.
District 25 Commander Michael Yates votes no.
District 26 Commander Romy Bassetto, are you on the line?
Abstain.
Okay. District 27 Commander Randy Moorhead.
Yes.
District 28 Commander Dan Clay.
No.
District 29 Commander Sandy Schneeberger. Sandy Schneeberger voted no by text. District 30 Commander Robert Morales.
Yes.
Okay. Any Seaman Larry Van Kuren. Larry, do you have a vote? Yes or no? Okay, Sergeant at Arms J.R. Duarte.
I vote yes.
Hey, Paul, it's Larry Van Kuren. I vote yes.
Okay. And we'll leave you for if there's a tiebreaker. We're gonna count up the votes now. 2, 3,
Okay,
4,
and while the
5.
votes are being counted here, I'm gonna have Diane, no, she's busy here, but I'll put the motion up here. I'll put the next motion up that's currently on the floor outside of the call for the question.
Paul, you didn't ask for my vote. You didn't ask for my vote.
Larry
Leonardo.
Oh, I apologize. Where's your vote?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I apologize.
Gary, could you please take a look at what I've placed on the screen? I think that encompasses what you were attempting to tell us.
Okay, I move meet a convention at the stated date and time, at which time we adjourn to a specific date and time we can meet. Well, actually, it was to adjourn to reconvene at the call of the commander.
Okay, reconvene at the call of the commander. Okay, let me that.
And it's we meet at the convention site.
Okay, so I move we meet at convention site at the stated date and time, at which time we will reconvene.
We will adjourn and
We will
reconvene.
adjourn and
Yes.
reconvene. Okay.
At the call of the commander.
At the call of, okay.
Does that mean that we all have to be there physically?
No, it
Okay,
does
so
not.
hold on, everyone, please. Okay. All right, so first of all, you should have now on screen the motion. Larry, can you see the motion?
Yes.
Okay, does that appear to be, is that the motion that you have made?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and I'm not sure who the individual was that seconded the motion. Is this the motion that you were in fact seconding?
It was Keith Morris.
Okay. Keith, are you on the call?
I'm looking at the motion. I agree.
Okay.
And this is Larry Van Kuren. I might ask if everybody that voted yay and nay, is this the motion they understood when they voted? Because it wasn't up during the majority vote.
Yeah, Commander, I'm sorry, but hang on for 1 second here. Let Mr. Morris determine whether or not this is the motion that he is seconding. Keith?
Yeah, I agree. That's the motion that was proposed by Larry
Okay.
Bank.
Thank you, Keith. Now, the next step is there was the call for the question, and Paul, I believe, has the tabulation for the call of the question vote.
The vote came out 24 yes and 10 no.
So it passed.
The commander indicates that it passes.
So we go back to the court for the discussion.
No, actually, we go to the actual question.
Yeah.
And now
Go
the
back to
motion.
the actual question.
So the motion is before everyone at this time. Again, there will have to be a roll call vote so that we register those votes.
Autry, I'm not real clear on this. Does this mean we have to be there at the convention site to vote on this?
It does not.
Well, it doesn't state that. It says we'll meet at convention site.
Yeah, I understand that, but what it requires is that there not be a quorum. So what this would mean is that you as district commanders would probably indicate to your individual posts not to show up for convention. Commander will arrive in Visalia and call the convention to order, determine that there's not a quorum, adjourn it, and then reconvene, assuming that this motion passes.
Autry, Nelson Lum.
Very much, sir.
Autry, Nelson Lum.
Recognizes Nelson Lum.
Yeah, point of clarification. I mean, you're reading a lot more into this motion than what's being written.
It's I'm sorry, Nelson, it's the interpretation of the bylaw, of the Robert's rule.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, according to Diane, page 347.
Okay.
Passes this motion.
And a yes is to vote yes to pass the motion before the body, and a no is not to pass the motion according to the body. We're going to start off with the person that was overlooked last time, Junior Pass Department Commander Larry Leonardo.
Yes.
Sergeant at Arms J.R. Duarte.
Question. Yes means no?
Nobody said that. Yes means you
Okay.
want to approve this motion. A no means you do not want to approve that motion.
Vote yes.
Any Seaman Larry Van Kuren.
Yes.
Area 1 Vice Commander John Leach.
Yes.
Area 2 Vice Commander David Jackson.
Generally gives a response in the chat.
Okay.
Adjutant, check the
Yep.
text.
We got it. I got it. Thank you. Area 3 Vice Commander Anthony Guerra. Area 3 Vice Commander Tony, are you there?
Okay, I'm here. I'm on. Yes.
Yes or no? Sir?
Yes.
Area 4 Vice Commander Donald Littlejohn.
Yes.
Area 5 Vice Commander Michael Weir.
Yes.
Area 6 Vice Commander Michael Helmstead.
No. Oh, Helmstead, what the fuck is with Helmstead?
District 1 Commander, Rick Cooper, are you on the line? District 2 Commander Richard Raker, are you on the line? District 3 Commander March Goosey, are you on the line? District 4 Commander Shane Griego.
District 4 votes yes.
District 5 Commander Jeff Jewell.
Yes.
District 6 Commander Jim Burton.
Yes.
District 7 Commander Cortland Bradbury.
Yes.
District 8 Commander Nelson Lum.
No.
District 9 Commander Jeff Rubel.
No.
District 10 Commander Sterling Wright.
Hell no.
Oh, fuck you.
Okay. District 11 Commander Jeff Freeman.
No.
District 12 Commander Gene Hamill.
No.
District 13 Commander Will Carney.
Yes.
District 14 Commander Andy Reeve.
Yes.
District 15 Commander Donald Johnson.
District 15 votes yes.
District 16 Commander Frank Campo.
Yes.
District 17 Commander George Aguilar.
No.
District 18 Commander David Whalen.
District 18, yes.
Thank you. District 19 Commander Ray Gard.
Yes.
District 20 Commander Gary Mitchell.
District 20 Commander Gary Mitchell votes yes.
Okay. Is District 21 Commander Rudolph Valadez on the line? District 22 Commander Sam Flores.
Yes.
District 23 Commander Keith Morris.
Yes.
District 24 Commander Dave Gibson.
Yes.
District 25 Commander Michael Yates.
No.
District 26 Commander Romy Basetto.
No.
District 27 Commander Randy Moorhead.
Yes.
District 28 Commander Dan Clay.
No.
District 29 Commander Sandy Schneeberger is going to be texting me, I'm sure. And District 3 Commander Robert Morales.
Yes.
And I'm still waiting on Sandy's vote by text. District 29 votes yes. Okay, Rudy Valadez is on the line, but cannot be heard. He does hear all activity. Rudy, if you want to go ahead and email me back your response, I will accept. We'll note it for the record, and we'll hold off till you write that. Oh, hold on. Let's get. Yeah. I have 10 no's. Okay, we're still waiting on Rudy's vote, but at the same time, it's not going to affect the tally. There is a vote of 25 yeses to 10 noes so far, now counting Rudy Valadez from District 21 Command.
Okay, y'all heard the vote, right? Everybody? There's no question.
Yes.
Motion.
So Commander indicates that the motion passes. Just 1 second, folks. Commander.
In place and with modifications from the DEC.
Okay. So the only question remaining, folks, is the understanding is that the DEC has voted to follow the motion as described. So the only remaining question is the issue of budget, which will end June 30th. Does the DEC want to continue to tackle that issue at this point? Are there any motions with respect to that?
Michael Yates, 25.
This is Larry Van Kuren, current EDC. Point of clarification, because I'm having a senior moment. Is it permissible to carry forward, or do we have to do? I can't recall that discussion.
The question, in case anyone, for folks who didn't hear it, was, is it permissible to carry the budget forward With modification from the DEC. The answer, I believe, was that there would have to be modifications by the DEC. If any were.
Okay. Larry Van Kuren, again, a further clarification. Can the DEC refer the Budget and Finance Commission for them to take action that we could then support or not?
Not with, well, we're Steve.
Commander?
The question is can it be referred to the DEC? And the answer, I believe, is that it can go to to the Finance Commission to set the budget. They can then make recommendations, which would have to go to this body outside of convention to support or deny those recommendations.
Hugh Crooks, the Finance Commission Chairman, I have a question. Normally, the Finance Commission is already in line to put together a budget for next year. That's not a problem. The problem is normally, and it was my understanding that only the convention body, the membership, could approve that budget. So are you telling me the bylaws allow the DEC to circumvent the body of the convention and approve a budget?
No.
So what happens again to the budget? I mean, we'll have the budget together for convention. What happens then?
You'd be continuing on with the budget from before with any modifications of that coming from the DEC until a budget was approved by a convention body in whatever capacity it met.
District 6, Jim Burton, question that might help on this. As our Constitution requires a DEC 48 hours prior to convention and 48 hours, within 48 hours post-convention, and as we're still having the convention, even though it will be postponed, I assume that means we will have a DEC just before the start of convention. Maybe these things can be handled at that point, because I don't think we have a budget to look at right now.
I'm sorry, Hugh Crooks, again, past department commander, you will have a budget for convention. There will be a budget available to the convention budget committee. And that's where it usually goes. And that's why I said it's not the DEC that approves that. It's usually the body of the convention.
Yes,
I'm asking for clarification from Audrey and Diana as far as what the bylaws specifically state as far as that's concerned.
If we're operating the old budget, then it allows for the DEC to make modifications to the old budget, not to approve a new budget.
So, Commander Thiessen, are you still there? Okay, just one second. So Commander Thiessen, to the body, Commander Thiessen has been trying to get on and has not had success. He dialed my phone and is asking me to relay a message. I'm going to try and put it on speaker to see if you folks can hear him. Commander Thiessen, are you there? Okay, Commander Thiessen, why don't you go ahead and try and convey to this body what your concerns are, sir?
My concerns are that if we have a convention, we are going to elect a new department commander. So that means that California will have a commander that will serve under the present national commander. He from California will have two department commanders to serve with. The other thing is 49 or 50 or the 51 departments, and we're the only ones that have a convention. Where does that put California in the sights of national? We're trying to abide by, like Mike Gumbar said, behave to all of our people, and we're They've moved everything back to the end of May now. What happens if we go to 30? I know what I've listened to the resolution, but we are jeopardizing our commander, our newly elected commander, to serve under his newly elected commander when that takes place at the next national convention. I think that these resolutions or whatever we just adopted are out of order. They should have been considered with more in depth. We talked a lot about everything else except canceling the convention, which should have been done. Everybody else, there's 21 or 22 departments already canceled. I'm sure there's going to be more this weekend. That's my take. I'll let you go and I'll just keep listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Thiessen. Okay. Commander Thiessen is disconnected from my phone, so.
Can y'all hear me?
Please get closer to the mic, Commander.
Oh, okay, you can hear me now, right?
Yes, Commander.
Okay, that motion is passed. Now, can I tell you? I have something to say here, if you all want to listen to it. What the past national commander was talking about that I had already looked into by talking to previous department commanders. And this is something that they mentioned that that would help us if we could, which is keep everybody in place, especially the department commanders, because they're serving under this current national commander. But the way I feel about this is California, and we should do what we're supposed to do. But in the meantime, we also got to look at the reputation of this state. What kind of reputation do we want to carry? What we want to do? I heard a lot of discussion this morning and a lot of going back and forth. It's one thing that I heard the past department commander, Michael Gunball. He made a lot of sense. But also, what we're trying to do here is we want to make sure that California is doing the right thing. So that's why we having this special meeting. We know about all the right things to do. We know we can walk in there and say, let's cancel and just wait. But that's not the way we want to do business. Other states do their own business, and we should do our business the same way. So what I would like for you all to do is this: the NEC representative, the one that is out there, let's take care of this. If it means carrying this motion, and I got to go to Visalia and take care of this, then let's do it. But what we're doing now, I think we're making things a little bit complicated because we keep bringing up other things. Let's stick to this. Do y'all agree or not agree?
We need to do it national.
Commander, this is Dennis Furco.
Dennis Furco is asking to be recognized, Commander.
Okay, go ahead, Dennis.
Yes. This emergency DEC meeting was called to basically just to see if we were having a convention or not. That has now been determined that we are going to go on as planned. As far as the budget, the finance chairman said he would have a budget ready by that time. All we're doing, though, is putting this off and putting it off more.
Yep.
We're going to have, as our constitutional bylaws states, the three elected people and the vice commanders, excuse me, those would be the only ones that can't serve on the DEC next year. But I don't think anybody would honestly say anything about us just going ahead and extend with all officers.
Just like national.
It has no financial burden to us because by doing anything with the convention, according to.
They can
and go that route. It's not hurting anything to do that if they would do it. Obviously, the district commanders or whoever, that could still be done by the district elections themselves. You're going to have, it's going to wind up if you do a virtual, another one of these for the election. It's going to be it's going to be electoral college by that, because you're only going to have a district saying what his delegates are voting for.
Dennis, just be advised, if we don't make those arrangements with Visalia to cancel that with the hotels and everything, we're going to incur a boatload of costs. So I understand what the plan is, but I need to move forward with making those plans change so that we're not actually incurring debt or incurring fiduciary liability. Because technically, if people ask me, are you canceling your convention? The answer I have to give them is no. But if we don't get out of our contracts and change them to 2023 rather than this year, we're going to have a huge amount of cost.
Thank you.
I'm making that, and the point that I'm making is I'm explaining to everybody that I need to move forward with changing things with the convention center and the hotels. And even though we might be meeting, heck, I don't know, maybe even the sidewalk in Visalia, I don't know, maybe at a post, but it's probably not going to be at the convention center. And I just want to make that clear to everyone so there's not an idea that all of a sudden at the last minute we can have it there.
Thank you, Paul. Part of the thing is too, you can call for a convention there, but I don't think that many people's going to show up because they don't want to be in a crowd of more than 10 people. I don't care if they lift the restrictions or not.
It's a matter of contracts. We need to get out of our contracts now while there's still a window for us to do it.
That would be correct.
Okay, and I just want to make everyone aware that I, as an administrative officer, will be moving forward to limit the financial exposure to the organization based upon the conversation we've had today and the intent of the discussion that we've had today.
Right. And I cannot make a motion, but I do have the voice, so, and a vote, and a vote, or no vote, excuse me.
A motion to direct the adjutant.
What the commander is wondering, is there a motion to have the adjutant renegotiate the contracts so that we can close out the convention this year at Visalia and add it to 2023?
I make the motion.
Anthony Guerrero, third area, I second.
Motion made by Romy Bassetto and seconded by Anthony Guerrero.
Could you restate the motion?
Thank you.
Yes. The motion is to direct the adjutant to renegotiate the Visalia contracts to limit, to close out this year and add on an additional year to 2023.
Toughest district, I have a question.
Yeah, well, you can call for discussion now, Commander. And Commander has called for discussion, and I believe Jeffrey Freeman had a question or comment.
Yeah, with this previous motion we just voted on that went through, we've kicked the can down the road. So when that can comes back upright and we're supposed to hold an election, where is that going to be held if we are going to cancel this year's contract. And when would that date happen? You see the scenario we've got here? Where are we going to hold when that time comes?
That would be determined based upon the motion by the commander.
Commander? Q Crooks, past department commander?
Hugh Cook, asking to be recognized, Commander.
Yes. Okay, based on what we've already, as he said, established, I have one question. What happens if we get to when we were supposed to have the convention, the pandemic, the social distancing that's been lifted? Are we still going to have a convention or not?
No.
Or is it the private commander going to say, okay, tomorrow we can have a convention?
No.
Or will we have to wait for another month or two minimally to at least have a convention? I'm just curious. I don't, because I don't understand what really is going on right now.
Comrade
I
Commander,
Go ahead.
Comrade Commander, it's Michael Gumbar. This is exactly what I stated at the front. Knee-jerking to Constitution and bylaws and going through all these machinations that we're going through right now, okay, to fix what we know we should be doing, and that's not having the convention, and postponing is probably a better word for this group. The convention. This is essentially, this motion was his intent. The intent was to postpone the convention. And now you're having to back into creating a whole lot of different motions and making a lot of decisions that would have been very simply addressed had you just decided to postpone the convention until the time when it is feasible to have one. So this is what we do. This is what I was concerned about doing harm to the organization by not doing what is right and what is mandated right now for the situation we're in. Just a comment. Thank you, Commander.
Thank you.
Frank Campo, District 16.
Frank Campbell's asking to be recognized, Commander.
Go ahead.
My only question, Commander, is we talk about following the bylaws, and I believe in the bylaws it states on the floor of the convention, the members will decide where the following convention will be held at. So if we push this down one more year, isn't that against the bylaws? Thank you.
Not based on the contract.
You're talking about the contract. The motion.
I understand that. I understand that, Commander, but that says we're going to have another convention in Visalia in 2023, and that is going against our bylaws.
I think our bylaws, we agreed that the last convention to have multiple stages in Visalia, multiple years. So I don't see how that's going to violate it if we're going to be there by multiple years anyway. Michael Yates, District 25.
Michael, the commander's asking you to repeat that, please.
We voted at our last convention that we have a multiple year contract. So we know that we would be in a location more than once for a few years. We would then determine when we met there if we would move forward or maintain it there. According to what we have in the bylaws right now, we're at a multiple year contract. So in 2023, 2022, we're still in Visalia. So there's no difference if we postpone it, move forward, we'll still be in Visalia. So the key is get rid of the debt, let the adjutant do his job, move forward and postpone the process until next year so the districts and the posts can do what they have to do so that we can best provide the services that the American Legion can do within the constraints of this situation. Let's not make it a big deal. Let's just do what we're supposed to do. Michael Yates out.
How come it took you this long, Michael, to come forward?
I wrote it down on the paper, but nobody read it. I wrote everything down and put it up there, Commander. And I tried to get in the last time and I was shut down. Nobody would listen. So this is the first time anybody listened. Amen.
Amen.
Commander, this is Henry Sanchez, Department Historian.
Call for the question.
Henry, Commander, the department historian is asking to be recognized during this discussion phase.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I withdraw. I'll wait till after the vote is taken. I'm sorry.
Vote's already been taken.
All right. Well, then I'll continue. From a historian point of view, Commander, what do the bylaws say regarding whether or not you will continue being the department commander after July 1st of 2020 until whatever the end date is, until we elect a new department commander for the sake of history?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's why we're here today, to make those decisions.
Point of information, we have a motion on the floor that was seconded. Are we gonna vote on it?
Somebody need to call for the question.
No, they
No,
don't. You can ask.
Okay, the adjutant, we're gonna do a roll call on the vote. I'm on the motion.
Okay, and again, the motion is to give adjutants to negotiate with Visalia, extending out our contract to 2023 to limit our financial obligation this year.
Amen.
First off, Sergeant at Arms, Jared Duarte.
No.
Oh, come on.
Junior Past Commander Larry
I'm
Leonardo.
sorry. Yes.
Okay. And then again, that's Jared Duarte changing his vote. Jared Duarte, what is your vote? There's some confusion. Okay, Jared Doherty, we can come back to you in a bit. Junior Past Department Commander Larry Leonardo.
Yes.
National Executive Committeeman Larry Van Kuren.
Yes.
First Vice Commander John Leach. Okay. Okay. Yes. We just heard that JR is voting yes. Okay, John Leach, do we have a vote from you yet? Moving on until we have a vote from Dave Jackson, Area 2 Vice Commander, yes. And we have Area 3 Vice Commander Anthony Guerrero. What's your vote?
Yes.
Area 4 Vice Commander Don Littlejohn.
Yes.
Area 5 Vice Commander Michael Weir.
Yes.
Area 6 Vice Commander Michael Helmstead.
Yes.
Is District 1, District 2, or District 3 on the phone? With no response, moving on to District 4 Commander Shane Griego.
District 4 votes yes.
District 5, Jeff Jewell.
John Leach, I vote.
John, what was your vote? Hold on, John Leach, I see that you're on the line, but we cannot hear your vote. John, if you can write in the chat feature, that'd be great. We're on District 5, Commander Jeff
My vote
Jewell.
was yes.
Thank you. District 6, Commander Jim Burton.
District 6 is yes.
District 7,
Yes.
Clint Bradbury.
District 7
Yes.
is yes.
District 8, Commander Nelson Lum.
District 8, yes.
District 9, Commander Jeff Robel.
District 9, yes.
District 10, Commander Walter Wright.
District 10, yes.
District 11, Commander Jeff Freeman.
District 11, yes.
District 12, Commander Gene Hamill.
District 12, yes.
District 13, Commander Will Carney.
District 13, yes.
District 14, Andy Reeve.
District 14, yes.
District 15, Donald Johnson.
District 15, yes.
District 16, Frank Campo.
No.
District 17, George Aguilar.
Yes.
District 18, David Whalen.
District 18, yes.
District 19, Ray Gard.
19, yes.
I also just got a text message saying that John Leach votes yes. Gary Mitchell, District 20.
Gary Mitchell, District 20, votes yes.
Rudolph Valadez, District 21. I know you can hear me. Text or send an email if you can with your vote. Sam Flores, District 22.
Yes.
Keith Morris, District 23.
Keith Morris, District 23, yes.
District 24, Dave Gibson.
Yes.
District 25, Michael Yates.
Yes.
District 26, Romy Bassetto.
Romy Bassetto, District 26, yes.
District 27, Randy Moorhead.
Yes.
District 28, Dan Clay.
Yes.
District 29, Commander Cindy Schneeberger texted in yes. District 30, Commander Robert Morales.
District 30, Commander Robert Morales, yes.
With the exception of one, it is unanimous vote support.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just talk loud.
The motion was passed.
Is there any other business?
Is there anything else?
You didn't hear him. The commander's wondering if there's any other business?
No, I just want a summation of the end.
Comrade Commander, this is Gary Leach. I'd like to be recognized.
Gary Leach would like to be recognized, Commander.
Yes, go ahead.
Excuse me. In the fact sheet for this meeting, there was a proposed amendment to the bylaws allowing the DEC in the future to schedule these. I think it would be important to have that motion moved and passed today before we adjourn.
The fact sheet is the motion. Gary Leach is referring to the motion in the fact sheet that would give the DEC the ability to decide where and convention would be.
But we can't make that decision today. It would start an initiative process that would go out to the post for a vote before it would actually be enacted. So
that's correct. You would start the process, but you still need the vote of 2/3 of this body to start the process.
Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Gary's indicating he heard that.
Okay. We need somebody to make a motion. Quicker the better.
What is it?
Can Can we have Gary type in that motion in the text chat and then somebody can restate it and make a motion that's on the DEC?
Yeah, I can put it up for you, Keith. It's in the actual fact sheet. And I'll show you. Just give me 1 second here.
Okay. Be nice.
Gary Leach again. Autry, Diane DeVries read the motion at the way back at the very beginning here.
Yes, that's correct, but I also have it in the fact sheet, so if you take a look at that, but I'm going to put it up on the screen for everyone as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
James Burton, District 6, is that going to include Diane's possible amendments to what you put in there? Or is it going to go as you put it in the fact sheet?
This will not, but I can change that if that's what you folks anticipate. So give me just 1 second, please. Okay, so I'm sharing it now. 1 second here, it should pop up. Okay, so it is currently on the screen as taken from the national bylaws. Now, the language appropriate, I think, is what Diane said. She recommends striking. The only
Held annually was another part.
hang on. So, with reference to appropriate, the appropriate portion indicates that it is your members at convention that are the ones who can appropriate money. So just so you understand that, I'm happy taking that out if that's what you want. And I'll take out the other portion that Diane indicated was, which shall be held annually. So just give me 1 second to do that. And then you'll have the corrected version on screen.
The legislative body shall be a department.
Okay, so now it should read, the legislative body of the organization shall be a department convention. The time and place of the department convention shall be determined by the department executive committee, which shall have authority to change such time and place for sufficient reasons to it appearing.
Is a motion in order? Is the motion in order now?
Yes, the motion is in order.
Commander, Area 5.
Keith Morris, 23rd District Commander. I move that the amendment for the legislative body of the organization shall be department convention. The time and place of the department convention shall be determined by the department executive committee, which shall have authority to change such time and place for sufficient reasoning to it appearing.
I second that motion.
District 18, I second that motion.
Okay, it's been seconded.
You for discussion. Yes, you have to ask for discussion.
Okay, let's call for discussion.
We're in the discussion phase, folks.
James Burton, District 6. I have one question. I think this is actually answering it, but I know we were earlier talking about having to have the convention agree to the locations. This, I think, negates the convention doing it, and it moves it to the DEC. Is that correct?
Correct. That is correct, provided that it passes through the post. Remember, this is the beginning of the initiative process. The next step is after this has been passed by 2/3 of this body, the adjutant has to send a ballot to every single post, okay? And the posts have to decide vote simply yay or nay to the amendment. Once that passes, then this becomes a bylaw of the Department of California.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Comrade Commander.
Yes.
Comrade Commander.
Go
Hello?
ahead, you're being recognized.
Okay, it's Mike
Yes.
Dunbar again. Once again, we're making an emotional decision here and circumventing the will and thoughts of the convention and the delegates of this department. For what reason, I don't know. I do not understand the rush to changing bylaws in a situation where we have no idea why we're doing it. I think this is something that needs to be discussed on the floor at the convention, not something that a select group called the Department Executive Committee makes a decision and then sends out arbitrarily a ballot to the various posts where they have no idea exactly what the conclusions will lead to. Now, we need to stop trying to change everything in the midst of something that we don't understand. And that's what I'm seeing here. It's just an opinion, but it's what I'm seeing, folks. And believe me, when I tell you do no harm is a serious issue here. We're doing harm to this organization because we're circumventing the body that is supposed to be the decision maker, and that's the convention. We can't have one because of the circumstances we're surrounded by. But it doesn't mean that we bury our head in the sand and try and change everything so that it works for us now, because it won't work for us in the future. Thank you, Commander.
So, Commander, I just need to clarify the record here so that no one misunderstands something. The only issue that I want to clarify is that this body is not, by a vote of this body is not changing the bylaw. This still has to go to the post, and the post still have to vote on it. Now, district commanders, it will be incumbent upon you to explain to them, or they can ask questions. But this body cannot, on its own, change any bylaw. It has to go through the initiative process, which is outlined in your bylaws. With that, I have nothing further to comment.
This is Larry Van Kuren, NEC. That part of Mike Gumbar's statement where we're making changes and then taking them ultimately to the post to vote by ballot, those posts will not have the benefit of an active discussion on the floor of convention. That's missing. I think that's the concern here. We're changing things without having the context, and they bode possible problems for the future. I'd say we need to be very cautious here if we accept this or not.
Sterling Wright, District 10.
Go ahead.
I very rarely agree, but this is, I don't agree that we should amend this. I was told, and I brought this up to the adjutant, that my posts are not able to meet. There's a pandemic and they're afraid. And the response I got from leadership was we would have to figure something out, that we'd have to figure out how to continue to move forward and to conduct business. And for me, this feels like now it's turned on department. It's time for you to step up and continue to do business as usual. The specific reference was we are not going to change our bylaws so that the post can meet less than 10 years to be active. And I feel like this is what the department is doing, changing their bylaws so that they can decide if they want to not to have a convention this year. I don't mind postponing it. I believe that there are some administrative things we have to do to ensure that a virtual or including a virtual as well as a physical meeting in our DECs, which can be overcome. I believe that, but I do not believe, I believe that we need an annual meeting. Thank you very much. I yield back.
Yeah, I kind of, this is the department heads. I need to kind of address that. My message has been on the phone and the written communication has always been to keep the safety of your members first and to follow all the mandates from your local, county, state, and federal guidelines. As far as regarding bylaws, I have said, avoid doing anything that is forbidden in your bylaws and get consensus from your executive board to create what would be determined to be reasonable decisions by any average person in hindsight on this thing. I've never asked anyone or given information telling everyone that they had to do things or had to do that, because I and the rest of the department don't have the authority to have a post do anything. Now, just as a point, this, what you guys are being asked here as initiative is exactly the same authority that it's allowed the 21 or 31 or however many departments so far to cancel their stuff. And the reason why we haven't been able to act as quickly as them is because we do not have this in our bylaws, because the only group that can make a decision about a convention right now currently is the convention body itself. Therefore, if we can't have a convention body, it makes it really hard to do things such as cancel a convention, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Keith Morris, the maker of the motion. Can I be recognized by the department commander?
Yeah.
Okay. I made the motion, and I need to make sure that I'm clear. My understanding is the legislative body is basically the membership of the department. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, so therefore, this amendment, all this amendment is stating that the body is going to make the determination as to when the time and place of the department convention based on a vote?
Yeah, no, actually, if I can, maybe I was a little bit unclear. What this will do is this gives the, if passed, it changes our current bylaws. So our current bylaws say that Ag Department convention membership decides when and where convention will be. If you folks decide to pass this, then what happens is it goes to the post. They get to decide if they want this to change the bylaw or not. If they agree to the change in the bylaw, then Article 9, Section 1 will reflect what's on the screen now. If they say no, then the bylaw will not change. And the indicator is, according to our bylaws, is that it goes to them with a simple yes or no to prevent, this is my opinion, to prevent any individuals from trying to sway their decision one way or the other. That's why I say that's entirely upon you folks as a DEC to decide how you want to address it with your posts. But this motion comes from you folks. If you folks pass it, you pass it. If not, we can move on.
Okay, then this is Keith Morris, 23rd District Commander. I'd like to rescind my motion.
Error for Vice Commander Donald Littlejohn. I second it.
No, he wasn't making.
Okay.
Jeff
I don't
Freeman,
believe
11th District.
excuse me, I don't believe the maker did rescind the motion.
Jeff Freeman, 11th District.
Yes. Commander recognizes Jeff.
Thank you, sir. I think that the clause on the problem with this motion, the issue is it allows us to be able to change the convention date at no reason whatsoever. If you were to reword it in such a way to put in there national emergency, such like we're in right now, something of an emergency procedure in there, only giving us only the reason to be able to move the date for that reason, then I can see this possibly being become a part of a bylaws. As it's worded right now, it's not having that such a clause in there saying it's national emergency or pandemic like we have or something like that, then it sort of defeats the entire purpose.
So from my standpoint,
Commander,
Jeff,
this is
whatever
Commander,
you got.
this is Larry
Hold on.
Commander, this is Larry Ventura in the NEC. I agree with Keith and the last speaker. What this motion as it stands right now does is remove the legislative body from the decision process about conventions and establishes the sole right of that decision process to be the executive committee. And it would be asking the post to vote on this without the benefit of active discussion.
The motion have been rescinded. Why are we discussing on it?
Good.
The motion- Why we keep discussing? It's dead.
Because somebody will probably make it again.
Well, then we'll wait until they make it again.
Oh, gee, I'm all sorry about that. I said that with tongue in cheek. You know that.
Okay, let's move on. Is it any other business?
Yes, Commander. Mike Helmstead, second, Area 6 Vice Commander.
Mike? Okay, 2 minutes.
Well, that's absurd. We should have done it 3 hours ago. I'd like to move that we postpone the department convention until June 2021 as recommended by National.
You don't have that authority. We just established that.
Hang on for a second. So everyone is clear. Michael Helmstead has made a motion that we no, he said, I move. And Michael, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that you said that you move that convention be postponed until 2021. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I believe so.
So a motion has been made.
A motion have been made.
Diane Girl, third area, I second that motion.
And Commander, if I may.
Okay, you second.
So it's been seconded by Anthony Durrell. Now, before we enter the discussion phase, remember the legal advice that I gave you? This is the time to make clear all the reasons why you believe that we need to move beyond what our bylaws say, so that we have that record to protect the department. So as the maker of the motion, doesn't Michael have the first chance to speak? Your Commander?
Yes. All right.
Commander, this is Gary Leach, point of order. I believe the motion is out of order because we have already moved and seconded and voted that we would allow the convention to take place at the call of the commander.
You're correct. Thank you. I was waiting on that.
A motion can supersede a previous motion.
True. You're gonna have to rescind. You're gonna have to rescind the previous motion. Takes a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
We're not talking about affecting the other motion. We're talking about the executive committee. This committee weighing in on when that should occur. One doesn't negate the other, in my opinion.
We putting too much on this.
Excuse me, folks. So Diane DeVries, the parliamentarian, has indicated that Gary Leach's assertion is correct. There must be a rescinding of the original motion that this is now. So if there's someone who wants to make a motion to rescind that previous motion, then we would have to vote on that. And then if someone wanted to make a new motion with respect to convention, that would have to go into place at that point.
Okay, I'm ready.
Nelson Lum, District 8, Combat Commander.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to read as follows. The legislative body of the organization shall be a department convention. The time and place of the department convention shall be determined by the department executive committee when a state of emergency has been declared by either the governor of the state of California or the president of the United States, which shall have authority to change such time and place for sufficient reasons.
No, we don't, because it was an illegal motion.
Point of order. Don't we have a motion in place already?
Negative.
Okay.
The
Michael
ruling,
Helmstedt.
sorry, please. One at a time. The ruling from the commander was the motion was out of order. Diane provided explanation as to why the motion was out of order. So there is no pending motion on the floor other than the motion made by Commander Lum at this point. And that motion, as I understand it, is that the legislative body of the organization shall be a department convention. The time and place of the department convention shall be determined by the department executive committee when a state of emergency has been declared by
either the governor of the state of California or the president of the United States of America. And the remaining verbiage says the same. Should be a comma after America.
This is Jeff Freeman, 11th District. I would second that.
Governor spell wrong.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
GOVERNOR.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Attorney.
Hey, Audrey, attorneys like with money have a problem with spelling, right? That was said tongue in cheek as well.
Yeah. Something else indicate.
You're muted, Audrey.
I'm sorry. Apparently, I read that and I was muted. So, Commander, I just want to check with one section here. It says, which shall have authority to change such time and place. Do you want to leave the sufficient reasons to it appearing?
Negative.
Okay.
Commander?
Yes.
I kind of think that I think that part there should be moved up, because it sounds like either the governor or the president has the authority to change the time and date. I think you need to move it up before where it says executive committee, between executive committee and when a state emergency exists.
1 second here. So you want to move, you're going to have to give me the phrase that you want to move. I'm happy to do so.
Okay. Which shall have the authority to change such time and space or place. Move that to where it says department executive committee, comma. Move that to there, so it's between there and when.
I got
So
you.
it doesn't sound like the governor or the president has the authority to do so.
Agreed.
I concur.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yes, everybody understands the motion the commander's asking. Is there any further discussion?
That's pretty good.
Has it even been seconded?
Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
it was.
Somebody did.
Yes, I did, Jeffrey, District 11.
Yes, it has been seconded. Is there any
Then this
discussion?
James Burton District 6, and I do have discussion on this. My first question is, who has authority, based on this, who has the authority to set conventions, except in times of emergency?
Thank
That
you.
is not there. The second part is, if we're going to go to state of emergency declared by the governor, why not just use California corporate law as the definition of why the exec department, the exec committee would take over to be able to change? I think that was the intent originally in the first place, was in a state of emergency as defined by corporate law, we would give us the authority to make these changes, but not any other time. Otherwise, I think we're just taking away from the legislative body a right that they've always had. That's, if necessary, I'll create a motion to amend.
I'm sorry, the commander's asking if there's any further discussion.
Commander, Past Commander Hugh Crooks, are we in discussion?
Yes. Go ahead.
I hope all members of the DEC are ready to go to the legislative body, which are the blue caps of this organization, and explain to them how you're taking some more of their rights away from them and giving it back to the executive committee. The executive committee, as the directors, have enough things to do. It just seems like what you are doing is taking more of their authorities away from them. That's it. Thank you.
Commander James Burton, District 6.
Commander,
I make a motion to.
Commander Burton, hold on, please. Parliamentarian needs to weigh in on something.
Yes, the way that the Article Section 1 reads right now, the legislative and appropriate body of the organization shall be the department convention. And what you're talking about is putting a period there. Then it states the time and place of such convention shall be fixed by a vote of the preceding convention and may not grant any date beyond 7 years. By eliminating that, you're assuming that the body does not have the authority to set convention. So I would make a recommendation, it's my recommendation, that that statement be put into this amendment to leave the authority of setting a convention with the previous convention, and only at a time of emergency will that divert to the DEC.
I think that was it. Okay.
Oh, Oh, I forgot. Sorry.
Nelson Lum, District 8, as the maker of the motion, I concur.
Okay.
Am I back up now, Audrey?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. As district commander, I'm making a motion to amend this motion pretty much to do exactly what the parliamentarian said. Add that one sentence back in and change the authority to be consistent with California corporate law.
Okay, then
Point of order, doesn't the person who made the original amendment have to make, motion, have to make the amendment?
I believe they wanted.
Nelson Lum, District 8, that's what I said. I concur with the recommendation of the parliamentarian.
Thank you, Nelson.
All right.
You want to type?
Father.
Right. Ask Nelson Lum if he wants his original motion to reflect Diane's statement.
No, so the question is are you saying that you would like to have your original motion to reflect Diane's statement?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Makes sense.
What did you type? I'll just tell you. The legislative body, the organization.
One second.
Love it.
Randy, this is Dennis Furco again. You recognized?
I'm sorry, Commander Furco, can you please hold on? I'm just trying to get this information in so that everyone can see exactly what the motion is, and then we will resume discussion at that point.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep getting more additions to it.
And we should be seeing both. Where's my bylaw? Rules to the executive committee.
Nelson, you wanted to mute your speaker?
Commander Anthony Guerrero.
In just 1 second, I'm trying to get the language right for you.
Hey, Nelson, can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir. Yes.
Sam Flores, 22. Can you mute your mic? You're gonna make me break my laptop, brother.
Commander Anthony Guerrero.
Okay. So we worked with the parliamentarian to get the information in that she provided to Commander Lum. Commander Lum, if you could take a look at it and see if you concur with this as your motion.
Please change the word proceeding to preceding.
Thank you. Okay, that change has been made. Other than that, is there any other changes that need to be made, Commander Lum?
I concur with the written language.
Thank you. And does the person who made the second on this motion concur with the language?
Yes, Jeffrey, 11th District, I concur.
Thank you. And Commander is back to open it up for, I forget where we're at, for discussion on this motion at this point, this amended motion, I'm sorry. And Commander Furco first asked to be, past Commander Furco first asked to be recognized.
Yes, and I do thank everybody. My question on this though, is state of emergency, that's when the DEC could actually change and or put in. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would that, question being, would they have to wait until the emergency is over? Because that's what we're doing right now. We can determine it right now.
I mean, the DEC that encounters this would have to make the decision just like this, the DEC made a decision. But it would give the ability to do so without having to go back to the body because the defined state of emergency.
That's correct. Thank you.
Hugh Crooks, Fire Department Commander.
Hugh Crooks asked to be recognized, Commander.
Okay, Hugh, 1 minute.
I'm just for clarification, isn't this motion exactly the reason we're having this meeting now? I mean, so I don't understand. I mean, maybe I'm missing something here. I'm just trying to figure out why we're having this meeting. But do we need this amendment if we're already doing this?
We don't have the authority to do anything, Hugh, until we actually put anything decided here has to go to the posts for the final say. This would allow the DEC to make a decision without, because we don't have any authority outside of that convention body.
Okay, thank you.
Commander, this is Larry Van. This is Larry Van Kuren, DC.
Larry Van Kuren asking to be recognized. Go ahead, Van Kuren.
Anthony Guerrero was ahead of me. Anthony Guerrero was ahead of me.
Okay. Go ahead, Anthony Guerrero.
Anthony. Anthony. Okay, Larry, go ahead and we'll come back to Anthony.
Okay. We've been talking about this issue for probably 10 or 15 minutes. We've made motions, we've made amendments, I can clarify. And all of this tells me, and it should tell all of us, that we're kind of reacting, and there's the concept of unintended consequences floating around in the back of my mind. And for those reasons, I moved to table.
Move to table. Commander Van Kuren has moved to table the issue.
Comrade Commander Gary Lee, Past Department Commander.
Go ahead, Commander.
Move to table is out of order.
Yes.
The motion to table is only in order when something of an urgent nature is necessary to intervene with the current question.
Right. And that was my assumption, unless I'm wrong.
If there's something urgent that has to be dealt with before we can continue dealing with this,
Oh,
then the motion to lay it on the table would be in order. But if it's just something that we feel requires further study or something like that, then there's other motions that need to be that cover that, not motion to table.
I stand corrected. I withdraw my motion.
And the department parliamentarian concurs with, with past Department Commander Leach.
Commander, Larry Leonardo, past department commander. What you have right here is declared by California code. Since when does California code declare emergencies? It should remain the president and the governor in accordance with California code.
As outlined by California. In accordance with. Okay, that change has been made. Is that change adopted by the maker of the motion, Nelson Lum?
Nelson Lum, I concur with the change.
Thank you.
Comment, Commander.
And the second, you also concur with that, Larry?
Concur.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Comrade Commander,
Yeah.
Michael Gumbar. I would suggest that where it says such a time and place when only when a state of emergency has been declared, only when, and that takes away any opportunist from taking this and making it a directive for the executive committee to go ahead and start changing conventions. So I would suggest putting only before when. No, only before when. Only before when. Thank you.
The spell check on proceeding.
Yeah, I'll take care of that before we put it in there. First of all, Nelson, are you good with the recommendation by Commander Gumbar?
Yes, sir.
And is the second good with the recommendation by Commander Gumbar?
Yes, sir.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes, we need to call for the question.
That's what I'm waiting on.
Okay.
We'll call for the question.
No, just move forward.
Gary Mitchell, Commander District 20. I call for the question.
Okay. All right.
So can I interject? I think the commander's ready to move forward. Do you still want to call for the question and require another vote on that issue?
No, don't call for the question. Just end the discussion.
No.
Commander's moving forward on the vote. A yay confirms this will go to post.
Comrade Commander, before we do this, I thought we decided to go with the governor and president declaring the occurrence of an emergency, not the California code, not according to the California code.
It was recommended, if I may interrupt you.
Okay.
It was recommended by another member of the DEC that we stick to what's defined in the California code. If you look at the fact sheet, page 2, towards the bottom, it defines all the reasons that we would be in an emergency situation. So it's those reasons alone, without having to put them all in there or change this when the state adopts or removes any other reasons.
But the commander-in-chief and the governor are the ones that make the declaration, not the code. And we need to be very clear on what we're doing here. And if the commander-in-chief make the declaration, then the code will follow.
If I might interject.
About
Commander,
the information about the commander-in-chief and the governor, the code has no effect.
So I'm happy
Can I-
to add whatever you guys want.
I
to add. Please, go ahead.
Can I interject for a second? It sounds like the complaint is that we're not saying state of emergency proclaimed by the governor or the president, but that is in the California code.
That's
That's-
exactly
that's-
what I'm
Is
happy.
there a reason that we can't put it in our bylaws?
Okay. Okay, moving on with a vote. And opposing yeas and nays, please say yes and no's for clarity.
Requires 2/3.
And this requires a 2/3 vote. Starting off with Sergeant Arms J.R. Duarte. Can you put
JR votes yes.
Thank you. Okay, Junior Pass Commander Larry Leonardo.
Yes.
National Executive Committeeman Larry Van Kuren.
Yes.
31 Vice Commander John Leach.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Commander David
You hear me, Paul?
Jackson.
Yes.
Hear you. Okay. Oh, whatever that is, please stop it. Area 3 Vice Commander Anthony Guerrero. Anthony, you on the phone? Moving on. Area 4 Vice Commander Donald Littlejohn.
Yes.
Area 5 Vice Commander Michael Weir.
Yes.
Area 6 Vice Commander Michael Helmstead.
Yes.
Is District 1, District 2, or District 3 on the phone, on the call? Moving on to District 4 Commander Shane Griego. District 4 Commander Shane Griego.
Is in the chat.
You got it? The chat up, I can't read it. Okay. Okay. District 5 Commander Jeff Jewell. Yeah, I got Shane. Jeff Jewell. Well, we'll come back. District 6 Commander Jim Burton.
District 6 is yes.
District 7 Commander Cortland Bradbury.
District 7 is yes.
District 8 Nelson Lum.
Yes.
District 9 Jeff Roble.
9th District is yes.
District 10 Sterling Wright.
10th district is yes.
District 11 Jeff Freeman.
District 11, yes.
District 12 Gene Hamill.
Yes.
District 13 Will Carney.
District 13, yes.
District 14 Andy Reeve.
District 14, yes.
District 15, Donald Johnson.
District 15, yes.
District 16, Frank Campo.
Yes.
District 17, George Aguilar.
Yes.
District 17, District 18, David Whalen.
District 18, yes.
District 19, Ray Gard.
Yes.
District 20, Gary Mitchell.
District 20, Gary Mitchell, yes.
District 21, Rudy Valadez. If you can email me, that'd be great. District 22, Sam Flores.
District 22, yes.
District 23, Keith Morris. Keith Morris. Moving on. District 24, Commander David Gibson.
Yes.
District 25, Commander Michael Yates.
Yes.
District 26, Commander Romy Bassetto.
District 26, Romy Bassetto, yes.
District 27, Randy Moran.
Yes.
District 28, Dan Clay.
District 28, Dan Clay, hell yes.
Oh, fuck you.
Sandy Schneeberger for District 29 has texted yes. District 30, Commander Robert Morales.
District 30, Rob Morales, yes.
Okay, we have a 2/3. And we need to announce the count altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 32 yeses in the affirmative, so we do not need to go back and double check on the ones that we were not able to get the vote on because we have a 2/3 vote.
So that carries, Commanders? Is that correct? Okay, the motion carries. Is there any additional business, Ken?
Any other further business?
Yes, Commander. Mike Helmstead, Area 6 Vice Commander.
Yes.
Commander, I typed into the chat. I'd like to move that we rescind the previous motion so we can postpone department convention until 2021 as recommended by National Resolution 3.
It needs to be someone who voted for it.
No. And for clarification, Commander Helmstead, you said the proceeding, the problem is that there's been intervening motions. I think I know which one you're referring to, but can you provide clarification?
I don't know if it's numbered or whatever, the one that,
That was the first
Are you referring to the motion that required an adjournment of convention?
I believe that's the one that made it out of order, correct?
No. The motion passed was to have an adjournment of the convention, meet and then have an adjournment of the convention. Is that the motion that you're referring to as you want to rescind?
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
Dave Whalen, District 18, I second the motion.
Oh, shit.
Okay, let's do a quick discussion on this. Okay, since I know everybody's phone is probably going dead if you're on your smartphone. So let's try to make this at least 2 minutes, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Commander. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize, everybody. I know this is taking way too long, but I think this is something that I probably should have just had more courage 4 hours ago or something. And this is what I feel like we're here for. And all of this other stuff is procedurally how we get to this. I think we're here to, postpone the convention or not. my feeling is to do so. And I fully am in agreement with what Autry said about making sure we're real clear about why we're doing this and that we are catching up some, resolutions and bylaws changes or modifications in order to make the stuff we need to do catch up legally. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I think I'm rambling again. Thank you, Commander.
No more discussion.
Sterling Wright, District 10. I don't see why we need this, because the commander can, with the current motion, put it off till 2021.
No, no.
No, really actually means, but out of order. Sorry.
Any more discussion?
Yes, Gary Leach, past department commander.
Go ahead, Commander.
Again, I believe this motion's out of order. We've already established early on that currently the DEC does not have the authority to cancel or postpone the department convention. And this motion says postpone the department convention until June 2021. The DEC does not have that authority, in my opinion.
No, that's not what this motion said.
The current motion is just to rescind the previous motion.
Correct.
And that needs to happen before any other action could take place.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I apologize.
And
No, we don't need it.
I was going to say James Burton, District 6, if Gary's done.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm reading Michael's, his chat message. And it seems to me that the entire purpose of this is so that we can then do what Gary has said is not capable of us to do. And that's postpone the convention until 2021. So while I don't know if it's truly out of order, the whole purpose of it seems to be to then have a motion that's already been challenged as out of order. And that's my 2 cents.
So, Commander, I believe that, and Commander Leach can correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason that Commander Leach made that motion was because of the preceding issue postponing it. And he was pointing out that it was out of order because we have to first rescind that. Once we rescinded that, if anyone else wants to make an additional motion, that is addressed at that time.
Okay, we're gonna move on with the voting.
Commander, if I could get the just one quick statement. We could save a lot of time possibly, and I would rescind the motion if it was agreed or if it's understood that you intended to move it till June as national recommended. And I think that, as people have talked about that, yeah, we already know that everything we do is somehow going to violate some bylaws. Everything is impossible in some way. That's why we've been here for 4 hours, because there's something wrong with every single thing we do. So I think we're going back to, Section 4, the good faith. If we can show that we're doing things in the good faith. And I apologize that it feels like this is making this take longer. I think we should make the decision now, because I don't want to be doing this again in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
The commander's indicating that we're going forward with the vote.
Let's go forward with the voting.
Okay, Sergeant Arms, Jared Wardy.
You might want to restate the motion that's getting rescinded.
Thank you.
This motion, okay, so this motion is to rescind the earlier motion, which was passed. 1 second here. If I had it somewhere.
I think it's in the chat.
On the screen. So if you look on the screen now, on the screen, it was the motion that mute yourselves.
George Aguilar, would you please?
So the motion is to rescind the earlier motion which was passed, is currently on the screen.
Okay, roll call. Sergeant Arms, Jared Wardy.
Yes.
Junior Past Department Commander Larry Leonardo.
Abstain.
Okay, National Executive Committeeman Larry Van Kuren.
No.
No. First Vice Commander John Leach.
No.
Okay, votes no. Area Vice Commander David Jackson. He votes no. Area 3 Vice Commander Anthony Guerrero. Moving on. Area 4 Vice Commander Donald Littlejohn.
No.
Area 5 Vice Commander Michael Weir.
No.
Area 6 Vice Commander Michael Helmstead.
Yes.
District 1, District 2, or District 3 commanders, are you online?
District 2, Richard Baker, no.
Everyone put their stuff on mute because it's really hard to listen. District 5 Commander Jeff Jewell. Jeff Jewell? District 6 Commander Jim Burton.
No.
No? Okay,
No.
District 7.
No.
District 7 Commander Cortland Bradbury.
District 7, no.
District 8 Commander Nelson Lum.
District 8, no.
District 9 Commander Jeff Robel.
9th District votes yes.
District 10 Commander Walter Wright.
District 10 votes no.
District 11 Commander Jeff Freeman.
No.
District 12 Commander Gene Hamill.
No.
District 13 Commander Will Carney.
District 13, no.
District 14 Commander Andy Reeve.
District 14, no.
District 15 Commander Don Johnson.
District 15 votes no.
District 16 Commander Frank Campo.
Yes.
District 17 Commander George Aguilar.
No.
District 18 Commander David Whalen.
District 18.
District 19 Commander Regard.
No. District 19.
District 20 Commander Gary Mitchell.
District 20, no.
District 21 Rudolph Valadez. Email me if you can. District 22 Commander Sam Flores.
District 22, no.
District 23 Keith Morris. Okay, District 24 David Gibson.
No.
District 25 Michael Yates.
Yes.
District 26 District 26 Commander Romy Basetto.
District 26, no.
District 27, Randy Moorhead.
District 27, yes.
District 28, Commander Dan Clay.
District 28, yes.
District 29, Commander Sandy Schneeberger, text in with a yes. District 30, Commander Robert Morales.
District 30, no.
Give me a minute. Commander, we have 8 yeses, 23 noes, and 1 abstention. So motion rescind. Does not carry.
So the motion does not carry. Is there any further?
Comrade Commander, this is Larry Van Kuren. I may make everybody's day with making a motion that might be accepted, that we adjourn.
That's what we're gonna do.
Don't make us vote again.
What we just said or seconds that motion.
David Gibson, I second.
This Keith Morris, 23rd District, no.
I said Chapman. Kelsey.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
we need one.
Okay. Okay, Commander. I had it written down and put some paper over it. Thank you, God, for this meeting. Please go before us and clear the way. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for loving us. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all again for taking your time out, and you'll probably hear from me in June. I think that's when we do this again. But do me one favor before we adjourn. Everything that the adjutant sent out to you, please read it and copy. So the next time we have a conversation like this, we have a meeting, that everybody is well understand and know exactly what's going on. I know this is our first time doing this, so you gotta bear with us, and this might be the way we're gonna go. We don't know with this COVID-19, we don't know how long it's gonna last. So let's get ready for this. This DEC is adjourned. Y'all have a safe week.
When do I get my check? Where's my money at?
I'm gonna tell you, you live in Burbank, don't you?